Market in positive territory here to start things off on a Friday morning. Just having a look. Yeah, dead flat basically for the NASDAQ right now. ES about 0.2. Back in positive territory. I was keeping an eye on Bitcoin this morning. MicroStrategy making moves again. Quietly picking up 1.1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Yeah, 1.1 billion additional worth of Bitcoin after a debt raise on the company itself. Same old, same old. For MSTR, not doing a heck of a lot on that news this morning, but we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin overall. Meanwhile, there's the market kind of hanging out where we ended the day yesterday. Basically flat, as I mentioned here, to start things off on a Friday. But what a couple of days it's been here to the upside, back in positive territory, as I mentioned for. The NASDAQ, not a heck of a lot as far as data points this morning. We just got import-export prices for August. Looks downside for the most part across the board. The biggest one, Michigan consumer sentiment coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. That has an inflation portion to it. So just keep that in mind. We'll bring that to you when it comes through at 10 o'clock. Everything else, though, basically where we left off at the end of the day yesterday. I mean, there's a couple of impressive earnings reports, or not so much maybe. Adobe, yeah, downside in a pretty big way. Oracle with that forecast revision yesterday, but Adobe, ouch.
Yeah, two completely different stories.
Yeah.
Adobe down, Oracle up. Look, you know, the headwinds for Adobe are not new. I've been seeing a lot on social media about this. People are not happy with the new terms of service where you include some of their images in the AI database for them to learn off. So here's the look. They exceeded on revenue and earnings, but they missed big, Brendo, on the fourth quarter guidance. That was the exact opposite story for Oracle, which is looking at much bigger revenues in the future. The 2029 outlook, they're talking about $104 billion in revenue, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, impressive move right out of the gate at 4 o'clock last night when that came out. What is it, 6.5% here right now for Oracle, all the way to 172 almost. Trying to hold at the highs here for ORCL. Not a heck of a lot of volume behind that move this morning. The biggest portion of that coming again after the close yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on those two. Some of the Chinese names could be interesting here today with this note. Essentially more tariffs coming on, specifically lower priced imports coming into the U.S. So targeting Temu, essentially, PDD, those types of apps.
Yeah, they get around that $800 limit, Brendo, that the government has. It's called the de minimis rule. Essentially, anything under $800 worth of value can come into the country free of tariffs. So a lot of people are complaining about that, retailers included, saying unfair advantage, and PDD taking a hit here, 5 3/4 as the Biden administration looking at putting in new restrictions.
Yeah. Pretty ugly for them specifically, but as we mentioned, it's more on the lower price. Alibaba did have a flush initially on that move this morning along with PDD, but it has bounced since. So we'll keep an eye on some of those. Sean is away at a golf tournament today. He's actually going to check in with us from the golf tournament, and we'll tell you why when he does. We have no idea when that's going to be, but when he does, we'll get him on the show. But Obi is with us today, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Why can't we tell them now why that is? Okay, so
he's gonna give us a spontaneous call.
No, there's the golf tournament happening locally, and it's a charity event, and TraderTv.live is sponsoring a hole.
Nice.
So now we don't. Here's the thing: we don't know which hole it is, but the idea is that when Sean is playing that hole, he's gonna call in and. Give us the goods on how it's going. It's a shotgun. I learned this yesterday. I didn't know what this meant. It's a shotgun start, which means like everybody starts at a different hole, and so like all 18 holes, so 18 different groups, and everyone starts at a different hole. So we don't know what hole he's starting at. I don't think he'll know until. I thought it was starting now, but he'll let us know when he tees off, because he could start on like 7, and then it could be like the 18th for all we know. And then whenever it does happen, we'll let you guys know. I'm excited for today. I can tell you, when you get those, we didn't have much in terms of economic numbers this morning. Import, export, the only thing that matters about that is, unless you're Vandalay Industries, you probably don't care about that number. Maybe others do. But PDD,
Boy.
See, the thing about this name, what I want to start with is they already got shellacked, and now you're going to get the double dip with the administration slapping some tariffs on them. And I feel like this is the kind of thing that that's probably agreed upon by both sides. So They're under pressure today. I want to be looking for some shorts there. You had great runs in NVIDIA, was mostly just longs. It's above its 50-period moving average. You're going to be looking at some of that. Obviously, Boeing with the strike news, there to the downside. Oracle, got to love that guidance. I think that was fantastic. That should also be on watch. I'm also going to have like a muted smile on my face over my Buffalo Bills last night. Fantastic win for the Bills, but I will say this. I genuinely hope the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins is okay, and I would not be like I kind of hope the guy. I hope he's okay. I'd rather not see him play again. It's he's a tough guy and it's a tough sport, but I'm happy we get to play a non-contact sport sometimes. But that was a brutal hit that he took. But tough dude. Wish him the best. Great win for the Bills, but it was tough to celebrate when you see the human side of it. I know you're not into sports, but
your team won, so congratulations.
Yeah, if you had to see it, the quarterback in the opposing team took a brutal hit. He has a history of concussion issues.
Oh damn!
It was instantaneous. Like you knew he was basically out the second did it, and they showed the replay way too many times.
Right.
Like I didn't need to see it. I actually went to bed shortly after. I didn't even want to watch the rest of the game. I knew they were going to win at that point. But there's lots of winning opportunities here today, Obi. Let's try to focus on that because this market's been giving us gifts. What do you like the most?
I don't know. I got a few names on my watch. We'll see how things set up. Things got to do what I'm looking for. We were just talking about this as well. Like Spider. I like that Spider. Again, we saw how strong we closed on a lot of the names yesterday, so I'm going to be looking for a potential continuation. But then again, it is a Friday, right? I got to keep that in mind. I like Starbucks 100. I like that. Oracle, a little bit of guidance news last night, right after the close. So Oracle is going to be interesting. All-time highs. Day 4 earnings continuation. You can see it's doing stair step off of earnings. Another stair step, and then now off of yesterday's news there, Catalyst, we do another stair step. So let's see if we do a little bit more of a consolidation today, or we continue to the upside. I also like, for earnings, Kroger. We were talking about Kroger from yesterday. Kroger had a really strong close. I like that one as well. Got to keep eyes on that one. PDD, of course, you mentioned in the morning. I didn't know about it until I came in this morning. PDD doing some moves as well. What else do we got? We got we said Kroger, RH as well had earnings. Adobe had earnings as well. RH I got as a technical breakout potentially.
I feel like it's broken everything.
No, it's look at that. It's breaking out of those.
No, RH.
I like that.
RH is this is a sleeper, I think, because it's not always the most heavily day traded stock. I'd say, frankly, it's never the most day traded stock, but it's got a 13% shortfall. For some reason, I thought it was more than that, but it's double digits, and you do see it. Like it's a technical breakout. I kind of ignore the wicks. I mean, you look at like 302 in here. Like as long as you hold the 300 level, it's a great setup. That said, it's one of those spready stocks, but sometimes you like the stocks with the big spreads.
Yeah, I do, because like they give a bit of a tell, right? Like if it's spready and say that there's demand coming in, you can sometimes see the bid stepping up into the ask before the move actually happens, and then if you can nuance that with some key levels, you might have a trade on your hands.
That's an important point. Actually, there was a day. I'm glad you mentioned that. There was a day. The SSR day on SMCI. Right. So the day that SMCI was SSR, and I was playing an SSR bounce, and it was somewhere in the middle. I think it was like the price was like 58 or something. I don't know, whatever. I was in the long trade, and then I was saying live, "Oh no, this move is stalling." It'd been going. It looked like it had room to go $10-15, and it was screaming like a normal SSR bounce would be going. And then it got to like an $8 level. And suddenly you could just see like when that buying that shows up when it's all spready, like that just ground to a halt, and it looked the complete opposite. Like what the heck? It went from like the no liquid program buying, get out of its way. If you're not in position, you're not getting along. It went from that to where's all the selling coming from right at that 8 level. And I was like, oh, this doesn't look very good. This is stalling. It's stalling. And I got out of the long, and I looked back like 10 minutes later. That was the exact time to have been short. Like it was basically telling you, because usually it's a liquid, and suddenly there were sellers en masse, and you could really see it on level 2.
Would you say the price action and the book were distinctly different?
Yes, Obi, I would say that. See,
That's
we got
right.
the Obiisms already. We'll leave it with that one before we go back into the desk. I like it, Obi.
All right.
All right, yeah, Sharif and I were just going over some of the details here as for RH. Restoration Hardware? RH, formerly known as Restoration Hardware? I don't know. Depends on what week it is, it sounds like anyways.
Right.
I mean, net income, 33.8 million. Estimates were 31.6. I mean, revenue, 829.7 million, 824 was expected. Like, if anyone's not familiar, yeah, huge move on the chart. If anyone's not familiar with this store, it's very, very high-end home furnishings. I mean, $20,000 couch type home furnishing.
I didn't know that.
There's enough people buying $20,000 couches apparently for that kind of a move. But they also have at the Yorkdale store, anyways. There's that like restaurant cafe now. So they're, I guess, trying to expand a little bit into other areas. But
Is that Restoration Hardware? Is that called Restoration Hardware?
it's the same, yeah, same. I mean, you go buy a $20,000 couch, you stay for lunch, I guess.
Sure, Brenda. I mean, like, look, you get tired a little bit.
Yeah.
Spending that kind of money. No, seriously though, they beat on the top and bottom line, as Brendo mentioned. Good commentary from analysts. I'll just bring it over here, show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. KeyBank maintaining sector weight, acknowledging strong results amid economic challenges. This was what I highlighted though. This was interesting. So RH lowered its revenue growth forecast, actually down from 8 to 10%, down to 5 to 7. That didn't seem raise the suspicions of analysts. TD Cowen raising their price target, Brendo, up from 325 to 350. KeyBank doing the same thing as well, so good luck.
I mean, it's not really a day trading type of stock, really. I mean, 300, as you said, 300 plus, you know, kind of a stock, but worth keeping an eye on RH today. I was just having a look for anything on Boeing here, guys. There was a nice move back higher on Boeing. Yeah, I don't see anything new anyways. The last headline was around 8 o'clock here, but looks like the strike is going to happen here for Boeing.
It's kind of eye-watering how many people voted for the strike. I know about 95% of people, or the machinists union, voted for that strike. They were not impressed with that 25% pay bump. They want 40. They also want more than the 401ks that Boeing is offering. They want the reinstatement of the pension that's been removed since 2016, a defined pension plan, obviously, that hasn't been done lately by companies, as it just really cooks the books there. So we'll have to see how this works out. And people are talking about a prolonged strike, 30 plus days. Last time this happened was 2008, and it was trouble.
That said, we just held the low here. Sorry? Okay, yeah, bring him on. Sean's already here, apparently.
Hey.
So we'll get him on. Here is, if we can show me, there we go. Just real quick, there's the low from the past couple of days here, trying to hold. We're back above 157 now, but for Boeing. But yeah, nice move back higher. Sean is, as we said, at a golf tournament today that he's getting ready for.
Tina, man.
There he is.
Nice shot.
Did you?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Did you get a hole in one yet, or what? Who's winning?
Yeah, a couple of them. We're at the Emmett Foster charity event here, and we've sponsored a hole.
There we go.
Here we go.
Hey.
There we go.
The Trader TV Live right there. So we got the hat on. We're ready to
Nice.
rock and roll, but we got to be quiet.
What hole
Because
was
we're
it?
here golfing with some partners from S3. So we're getting ready to rock and roll here. But it's a great time. It's great weather, and I hope everyone has the best of luck as we sit here and represent Trader TV Live at the golf tournament.
Attaboy. What hole did we sponsor? What number?
Yeah,
What number? What?
number 6. Number
Okay.
6.
Okay, I'll take it.
Number
I'll take it.
6.
Nice. All right. Well,
it is right here.
good luck.
You're looking
Thank you.
sharp
Thank
with
you for
that,
having me on, and
golf
good luck
shirt,
to everybody.
man.
All right. Have fun,
Everybody
Sean.
soon.
Thanks.
I got to go tee off here. I got to go tee off.
Watch those trees. No pressure. No pressure. There's Sean. Having fun on a Friday. But thoughts on Boeing here, guys?
Off. I was, yeah, it would have been cool. Like, get I don't know,
Yeah,
get
you
people to
could
hold the
get that
camera,
nice shot
something
in
like
there.
that. Just
Yeah,
get the
exactly,
lefty in there, drive one down the fairway. But yeah, okay. So Boeing, I guess if they're not, yeah, I don't know why it made that pop there. What looked like was happening on Boeing was you were just flat bottom breaking and kind of going lower. And actually, when Obi and I were discussing what we're looking at this morning, I was like, I don't know if I like Boeing as much. I was thinking about that as a continuation under the lows for a short. But then it just kind of bounced on, like a few dollars in here, and I don't really know why it would get that bounce. It's obviously still under trouble. Like they're talking about the impact of this being over $1 billion if it's a month-long strike. So that's not good, obviously. I mean, at the other end of that, even if you get a deal, that's probably going to cost more as well. But you got to figure that'll be long-term stability, and the market genuinely likes stability. So I don't know why this made a little bit of a bounce. Could be a bit of a relief rally. Certainly, I think people that are looking forward from this will probably realize that some of the reputational risk and all that is maybe still a bigger deal than this. So when this gets passed, you're left with what a lot of people think is a turnaround that either it pretty much has to happen. There's not a lot of competition here. I don't think this stock is a buy just yet for myself. And I've been talking about a lot of times when you look at these charts and it's just downward trending, why do you need to catch a falling knife? It broke the low, let it reestablish. There was a point at which, when it held a 50 period, and you can see I've got the trend lines drawn, the resistance lines drawn. When it broke, rounded the top, and I was looking for it to break back out, and I was willing to be involved in a long in Boeing if it could have taken it out. It didn't. It did literally the opposite, and it just needs to set the same thing up. It might set it up at the 50 period. We'll see, but let it make that rounded bottom first. And I know somebody who also agrees that when a stock is a falling knife, you should let it make that rounded bottom before you try to get into the long. Mr. Michael Noss is here.
Ew.
Yes, it is Friday morning. Let's get Mr. Noss in here to give us an update on, as you said, right out of the gate here, wild action this week. Initially lower. We end up holding some key levels. We're right back up. I mean, we've been talking over the past couple of weeks about the possibility that we could just, kind of chop around and be in a range right through till November when there's a little more clarity of the direction forward. Historically, that seems to be what happens on election years. But, you can't take away from the strength that we've seen here over the past couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm still in the camp that we're going to be choppier for longer just based on the seasonality trends. But what was really interesting is the rotation that is being shown here. And that's kind of what I brought with the chart. So we can start just taking a look at the S&P 500. So this is the chart that everyone goes and looks at. We are getting close to those all-time highs. I've always said I would be shocked if we don't break all-time highs, even if we're going to be choppier for longer, just to potentially trigger some stops or to suck some people in or whatever it is. But, with the rally that we've seen, again, it'd be shocking if we just turned here, but we certainly could. But I want to just, stay on this chart and absorb this for a little bit, because we're going to talk about relative strength and relative rotation and what we've seen out of the market. So we know all year it has been semiconductors, it's been the Qs that have been leading, it's been, big cap tech, anything AI related or touching AI or even, mutters the word AI has been doing fantastic. But I want to take things, and this is why I'm rambling for a bit, to leave the SPY up so that we can look at what's happening to those names now, specifically on this rally over the last few days. Now, the next chart I have here is just the Qs. Now, we saw how the SPY was getting very close to all-time highs. It was butting up against it. Now, the Qs, not only did we have that lower high that happened about a month or so ago, but now that we're rallying, we're not even very close to that high, let alone the all-time highs. So we're seeing that this rotation is now happening, which is what we've been looking for, which what I want to see if the market is going to be bullish, is that when these type of situations occur, that we just don't see the same names rallying over and over again. Yes, the Qs are doing great still on an absolute basis, and the NASDAQ is doing great still on an absolute basis, but we're seeing potentially lower highs in the Qs, which means that things could be moving. Now, the real culprit is the next chart here, and we have the semiconductors, right? I drew these trend lines on it just to show the steepening action between the SPY, which was near horizontal trend line. Now we have the Qs that's tilted a little bit, and then we have the SMH that's tilted a lot, just showing that the bounce in the SMH is very muted compared to everything else. So semis are not only not leading the charge, they are dramatically lagging this action. So this is, again, what I'm going to be spending my weekend doing, is looking a little bit under the hood, but it's the power that we have here at Trade Ideas. So the next one I have is just a screenshot of show me the ETFs that I follow that are up the most. We have gold, we have silver, we have natural gas. XME is a gold or a metals and mining ETF. USO is oil. We have COPX, which is copper miners. We have XHB, which is home builders. You notice there's no big cap tech in this name. There's no XLF or XLV. There's a lot of names that were leading the charge that are now missing from this list. So just taking a look at, this is why the last chart I'm just showing, I was here on Monday talking about how I liked UNG. I did actually end up getting involved in that 2 days ago. And this is what I'm seeing. You can see the massive candle that we've had on natural gas, even though in the long run, still obviously relatively weak to the overall market, but we're seeing this rotation where money is flowing out of the names that have been carrying us all year into other names that are more I don't know if they're inflation prep or what it is. I'm going to try to grab that narrative as I go through my 150 weekly charts after the weekend. I'll bring that to you guys on Monday. But definitely a shift away from AI and the things that used to be working and into other sectors, which for me is very exciting and for you guys should be exciting as well, because it means we have a whole other basket of names that could be starting fresh new uptrends. If we're going to continue to see this kind of choppy market and rotation, it gives us somewhere else to focus that's not, the overextended names like NVIDIA.
If you go back to that CPI print this week that, was more or less a non-event, kind of in line with expectations, I think a lot of people were caught off guard and maybe confused a little bit by the reaction we saw specifically from those names, from tech, the past 2 days. It really was, some of the NVIDIAs and the semiconductors specifically, and the bigger tech names that were leading that rally into the close specifically on the CPI day, and then even yesterday. So it was a little confusing, I think, for most because we were expecting that rotation that you were talking about. But at the end of the day, it was, everybody just jumped back in the same pool.
Well, they're high beta names. So you're always going to get, when the SPY moves 1%, NVIDIA is always going to move 5%, kind of one way or the other. This is why I think a lot of people get caught up when they're talking about relative strength and weakness, and they get confused about beta, right? And beta is essentially just a calculation of the correlation to the market and then how much the security moves versus a bunch of other the S&P 500. So a high beta name like NVIDIA is always going to have these massive intraday moves. That's why I'm doing things like I'm pegging to that all-time high and seeing how close we are to that all-time high. Because if in the long run, if NVIDIA was relatively strong or relatively stronger than the market, it would not only be at that all-time highs the way the S&P 500 is, but you would expect maybe even through that all-time highs. So on these intraday bases, you're definitely going to get these wild swings, which is why we have to kind of zoom out a bit and use some sort of an anchor point. Thankfully, with the market at all-time highs, using an anchor point for relative strength becomes very easy. Gets a little bit more muddly if we're in a range.
Yeah, but I mean, is that the thought that we might be missing here in that, the NASDAQ and tech itself lagging versus the S&P 500? Is there that opportunity to catch up?
It could be. I'm one that, that I've read tons of academic papers and evidence just saying you buy the thing that's closest to its all-time highs, you end up outperforming the market in the long run. So that's where my focus goes to. You could definitely see a catch-up trade, but my wonder and my worry is that as an institution, if I'm a giant hedge fund, do I just buy more NVIDIA? Is that going to impress my investors? Or do I, say, hey, I was the first to catch a natural gas move, or I was the first to catch something else? So I just wonder if that as things are moving, if we're pegging to these highs, are we is there more juice if I get something like a natural gas that could potentially move to highs versus an NVIDIA going up, I don't know, another 20% or something?
20%.
Just fine. That's nothing for NVIDIA. That's like
it's a Friday. Trader TV 20. Anybody wants 20% off trade ideas, go check them out on the weekend if you're doing any back testing. Michael Noss, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Talk to you then.
Thank you, Michael. You saved 20% here. You saved 20% there. Put that money into NVIDIA, and you're flying. Or put that money into Walmart or Costco.
Boy.
And you'll also be flying to the upside. No, what's interesting about that point and what Michael was mentioning about if you just stick to buying things that are near that all-time high. Like, it's a simple concept. If you do that versus other stuff, you're just essentially always buying whatever is in the moment the best. And if you look at, and I mentioned Walmart, not just because Obi and I were discussing Walmart and Costco, but we were.
Oh boy.
But when you look at this, okay, so you're like, oh man, look at Walmart, it's consolidating. Oh, I don't want to buy it when it's consolidating. It just rejected this top on the weekly, and look at it consolidating lower. It can't break through the, oh my goodness, what just happened? It just went another like 25, 30% to the upside. That's the idea. And the other thing you want to consider is, and this is one of those, one of the phrases I don't like things with an ugly chart, but I'm always cautious when someone's like, oh, something is dead money or whatnot. Like, because ultimately you shouldn't care about what happens in the past, because there was a point a couple of years ago after COVID, it's like, oh man, Costco outperformed Walmart by blah, 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 and Costco's, and don't get me wrong, it's true, like Costco had been so much better than Walmart, and you would have been better off having your money in Costco, but the truth is, since Walmart has been expanding all over the place, whether we're talking groceries, pharmacy, like it's all they're doing, and they're hitting on every single cylinder. And you look to what the future was for them, and they were doing something different and growing, and then all of a sudden it becomes a different stock. And that's exactly what's happened. But this is a strong one, and we were just talking about this with regards to, because Costco's essentially making a potential breakout on the daily, and it's an expensive stock. It's hard to day trade, and the thought was, well, if it goes, you can probably just look for some Walmart longs. If you're not into Costco on a $900 stock, like if it takes out this triple top, which seems like it's inevitable at some point, whether it's today or next week, you can just look for a continuation play or a sympathy play over in Walmart, as they've been going a little bit lockstep. Walmart's probably a little more top heavy-ish, but if Costco goes, I find it hard to believe Walmart wouldn't as well.
Yeah, no, I think definitely watching those. I was just like, Costco showed up on my scanner last night, and yeah, thank you, Neil, for pointing out that Walmart as well could be a great sympathy play, looking very, very similar there. Again, all-time high. So let's see. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if the top play on the day today, but definitely for swings, I think could be something. As again, Michael Noss literally talking about buying things that are all-time highs. Walmart, Costco, baby, coming up. All the way up, it would seem. But yeah, no.
Nothing can stop it. It's all the way up. And the reason why we have songs like this on our head today is all because of Ramin. On Fridays, Ramin makes sure that when we... Why is that a fail?
DJ Ram Ram
comes through, so we get music on Friday. Who hit the fail for that?
Fabian.
See, this is Fabian, the love-hate relationship between these two. What?
Oh, is it Sharif? Oh,
Sharif.
Sharif is failing Ram. That makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense. All right. We all know, Sharif and Ram Ram have a little bit of a beef.
Yeah, well, you know what's going on. The problem is Sharif is way too busy looking at his Fibonacci retracement levels to actually...
I heard about this. I heard about the Fibonacci...
By the way, I noticed it.
What are you saying? What'd you say?
He didn't realize he was on camera. We're trying to catch it. But then Fabian's too professional. He turned the mic down so you couldn't hear him. No, but how about this? Let's go over to Adara, get some upgrades and downgrades, although we're putting a downgrade on Sharif for hating on Ram Ram.
Upgrade on Ram.
ARM kicking things off here with this initiated coverage here. Positive note here from Raymond James with outperform rating and a $160 price target. For drilling getting this upgrade from Evercore ISI, up about 4% in the pre-market. TKO with an upgrade from Pivotal Research Group. And Kineska Pharmaceuticals getting an upgrade from Jefferies Financial. Jefferies also here responsible for the first downgrade of the list. This for Moderna. We know we had some negative things coming out of that company yesterday, including lower than expected revenue guidance. So mRNA down almost 5% with this Jefferies downgrade. AstraZeneca also in the same space here, getting this downgrade from Deutsche Bank. We have Garmin down about 2% with the Barclays downgrade. And last but not least, RBC Capital Markets downgrading Halliburton. Pretty interesting list on both sides of the coin, guys.
Yeah, there's two of them that are interesting there. One I was asked about in the chat was Moderna, yuck. ARM is on a breakout tear, though. And ARM, like everything was up 2 days ago, and pretty much any chip name had a good day after a dip. But ARM above that 138 continuation. It looks like the 50 period's a thing of the past for ARM. Let me zoom in because we were looking at Costco before. Like again, you're above that 50 period. It's trying to break out. There's room to $150 here. This is always a trickier one. I feel like you could. We're flat morning this morning, so I feel like you could still get a dip. This wasn't on my plan, but I'm just gonna. Like, I know I like 138 here. You have a bit of a double top, 141. Yeah, the dips might be a wide range on it. Like if it dips in, it could easily go all the way to 38 and then rip. You saw that happen yesterday with like a $4 or $5 move down, and then you got the Rip City. I want to look for longs as long as it's over 138. Moderna is, I think, just a continuation short. Like what else are we going to say? Flat bottom broke on the daily. You know, growth not what everyone wants it to be there. And they're doing some cost-cutting measures, but they guided way underneath for full year 2025, way underneath expectations. It was like the street was expecting 3.7, and they guided 2.5 to 3.5. Like that's nasty. That's not good at all. So already broken the low. I think that previous resistance to support thing. I don't know if we get that level. It's SSR day 2, so it's actually possible that it could spike, go green, and still fail. But I don't like a red to green story as much. I feel like that was a level for yesterday, and if it goes green, I want to stay away from it. But yeah, I feel like it's a pop and fade. If it breaks 64, it seems like an obvious hit the low. But remember, it's short sell restricted, so getting a fill, you might not get it unless it's coming back up through, which can be tricky. I found punching bottoms on SSR names has not always gone the best. I'd rather be shorting pops. I feel like the previous close is not a bad place to go.
I think, but the great thing about, the market access that we have here at Real Trading is we have some order types that can, I've found, that can get us in easier into those SSR shorts. But still, yeah, it's not like we don't have to follow those rules either. We still have to wait for the uptick to get in. But I'm finding that certain gates
something going on with Uber
a little bit better. What's going on? Something going on with Uber?
I was just trying to. So I have my Benzinga up, but unfortunately, like, when I'm talking, let's go to the desk because Uber is flying up like $4 right now.
Partnership with Waymo. It looks like they're expanding their partnership to bring autonomous ride-hailing to Austin and Atlanta in early 2025. So, yeah, big move here for Uber jumping on the Waymo bandwagon pretty early.
They're front running that Tesla robo-taxi thing from October 10th, right? Trying to get their own thing. And yeah, but big move here, Brenda. We were up at $75, almost 8%, a little bit more, 8.5%, looking to go more. I'm going to keep my eye on Uber here. Great look for them to start the morning.
Yeah, huge volume on that as well. Again, if anyone's just joining. Uber teaming up with Waymo, guys, for an expanded partnership. Autonomous ride-hailing coming to Austin and Atlanta in early 2025.
Yeah, wow, that is a pretty hefty move to the upside. Now, obviously, all we can do is sort of react in here. You're basically at the top right now. I'm going to zoom it out for you guys really quickly. 75 has been all kinds of resistance here. It's already up 8 points. It will be nice if it gives you a little bit of a dip, I think, before it does any move into the 75 level. Breaking out, like if the stock breaks out 75, 76, it's going to be a sick kind of move. But let's let it calm down a little bit. The spread is actually not that bad. The volume is maybe a little bit less than I thought. It's only done a few 100,000 shares. You're not even over 1 million yet. But you see it turn right at $75. Like that's exactly the level on the daily.
That's really tempting.
The news takes it right to the level on the daily, exactly $75. And if you're really, really quick and you spot that, you can probably fade it.
Oh, yeah.
But like you have to, the only way you're getting that short up there is if you were sitting there right as it came out. You knew the levels. But yeah, let's let it calm down a little bit.
Change.
You probably could have been in the 74s.
I think, yeah, we're
I don't know that I'd want it the second time through. That's just me.
Yeah. No, as soon as you mentioned that and I saw the 75 fell, I automatically was like, okay, where can I hit this short? But you know what? You're right. I'm going to let it settle down. It's only done about 500,000 volume on the day. If any more volume kind of gets pushed in, you can definitely do a significant move again. Any sort of volume getting pushed into an illiquid book, especially in the pre-market session, can give you some crazy moves like this. Again, catalyst driven. Let's see what we do with that 75. Again, looking left on Uber here, that 75, 74.97 is this high right here from a couple weeks ago. This was the end of August. Let's take a quick look at a higher time frame as well on the weekly. Let's see what levels we are potentially coming into right here. Next level, 75.42 is the high of week from July 15th week right there. And you can see that rejected off of the consolidation lows here that formed while we were making that all-time high at 82.14. So that's interesting as well. Let's see how far we can get past the 75 if we can get there, Neil. But oh boy, does that short look like it was the 175 right here, trading 72s right now.
That was fast.
Spready. Very, very spready, about 75 pennies spread between the bid and the ask right now.
The other thing to consider too is, like, remember, in terms of actually running autonomous vehicles like legally in the United States, it is only like Waymo's the one that's doing it in California, right? So this is bad for Tesla as Uber, expanding with them. Tesla, which have their event coming on the 10th for the robo-taxi, is going to go down on that news. So there might be a bit of an inverse thing going on here. It'll be interesting to see what happens if we get back into VWAP here for Tesla. If Uber starts going, they might sell Tesla off again, Brendan.
This portion of the show brought to you by Moomoo. They're shaking up the investing game with their cash sweep program, offering an incredible 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, far surpassing typical stock returns. Your cash earns interest 24/7, and you can access it anytime to reinvest when the market turns. Plus, sign up now, snag 15 free stocks and bonuses up to $2,300 in Canada. Don't let your money sit idle. Make it work for you. It's Friday. We're late, but whatever. Let's have a look at the market.
56.02, that's where we closed out yesterday on the ES September contract. We're already above that, and the overnight high is 56.17. So we're using 5,600 as support. If that gives way, we're looking at 55.75 as support. If we continue up, we're looking at 56.50 as resistance.
If you haven't done so yet, go down to the description of this video. There's a link there that'll take you right to the sign-up page for the watch list. Super easy. Was that an AOL address that we used there? Yeah. That's amazing. Don't have an AOL email, but enter any email as your email, and we'll send you the watch list for free every single day. Link is below if anyone's looking for that. All right, let's go. We got a few to get through here. Adobe, first off, downside huge this morning, 8.25%. 540 acting as resistance right now. I mean, this thing closed above 580 yesterday. Ouch.
Yeah, big drop here, Brendo. 8.25 and possibly going more. Let's talk about how they did. They exceeded consensus estimate on revenue. They also beat EPS. They printed 465. The street was looking for 453. The issue comes here with revenue guidance. They guided slightly below expectations. 5.5. They guided. The street was looking for almost 5 2/3. Net income, though, grew substantially, $1.68 billion. They continue to grow their AI side of things as well.
Yeah, when it's just the forecast, I mean, it's the world we're living in. You can't guide lower, but I mean, this is a big move, guys, for Adobe.
Yeah, Adobe, it's maybe not the stock that I want to trade today. Now, all of a sudden, I want to try to squeeze Uber into some of the ideas, but I'm kind of with you. I know you're going to mention the $525 level.
Yep.
Like right in here. Yep. That's back from, like, it's the middle of August, but it's the first area of consolidation after that Black Monday on Adobe. I don't like the reaction by the market here for Adobe. Really, and it's not near that 525. It's like $13 away currently. And that's, to me, the big level. It's got the 200-period moving average at like 543. I suppose that could be a bit of a thing. But there's a lot to be looking at today, including like every single one of the next names is part of the trading plan today. And all of a sudden, Uber just went ham. Yeah, definitely. I think Adobe, I might take a look at it here. I do like that 525 low. That is not necessarily the reaction low, but it is the low that kind of formed after the reaction and we kind of faded off. Found a bid around that 525. Anchored right here. We're holding anchored as resistance right here. This red line over here, and then you can see this red anchored up here at 554 is the anchored that's pinned to the August 5th bottom there. You can see that it has kind of held it as support and doing straight through it
right now, that 525. Going to be interesting going forward. I like these highs as well. 541. Let's see again. Bit of a range forming after the strong dump. We are down almost 10% right now. Let's see if we can. Let's see if it'll hit that SSR coming off into the open there, right there. So we're at about 8%. Let's see. 10% would be down here in the low 30s.
All right, let's continue along here to Oracle. If you're with us in the first 30 minutes this morning, we were discussing this a little bit. Opposite reaction here off their report after the close yesterday. Not a lot of volume behind this move this morning, but it's worth noting there's a ton of positive analyst notes on this morning as well. If you zoom out a little bit on Oracle, what a couple of weeks it's been up huge. I mean, 6.25 here this morning, but more than double that in the past week.
I mean, this was all about guidance. We just finished talking about guidance. This is about guidance here, Brendo. 2026 revenue, they're looking for $66 billion, but that's not where they stop. They look forward to 2029. They're talking about $104 billion in revenue there. They're citing their Amazon partnership where they're going to be able to basically allow other companies to use their database software through AWS. Their cloud infrastructure grew 45%. That's faster than AWS. It's faster than Azure, Google Cloud. They're really growing here.
Yeah. Thoughts, guys, for Oracle?
Oracle for longs, man. Like, it's the thing about Oracle is they already blew it out on the earnings, and they were, when everyone was cautious or scared, I think, with regards to tech earnings and the reaction, like NVIDIA initially when they reported, they had the down move despite the fact that everything was good. Now, Uber on the brain here. Oracle was distinctly different, right? It gapped up, held the gap, broke it out. Now, after it gave the nice little consolidative, hey, we're just going to consolidate for a couple of days, and now you're just breaking out the top, it looks eerily similar. Like when it gapped up here on the earnings play, there was your dip into the 430 support, and then at 430 time-wise support, and then it rallied. The same thing happening today. I think you get into the 170. Rightfully, if it loses $170, I think you might want to respect, as you were saying, like there's 68 out there as well for some support. Right at 4 o'clock, it dipped into that level. But I really just want to be playing dip and rip, especially if it dips in there, you regain the pre-market lows. Like, you just want to see it get down there. Maybe not the falling knife, just because Oracle is maybe not, it's not as liquid as some of the other things that you're probably used to trading. But as long as it finds some buyers in there at those key levels on earnings, something we've also talked about with Ryan Faluna about when you're looking for those post-earnings or post-market continuation moves. You look for the support level. If it's inside of the range that you're looking at, you want to see the holds of those lows to go if you're looking long, or breaks of the highs. Well, I'd rather be looking at the holds of the low to go on Oracle.
Yeah, I think I like that idea as well. I saw Oracle last night, and I was like, oh boy, it's a continuation of all-time highs. It was just a few days ago, I was pinning this anchor to earnings right here, and I was like, okay, well, we held well on that earnings opening drive. Faded in, hold this 155 area quite well, and then just slowly kind of consolidate sideways, step up, consolidate sideways, and then news. Let's see if we do some more consolidations, but I do like that 168 right here. These are all fresh prices for Oracle. So yeah, I am definitely going to be watching it for a potential continuation at the end of the week. Maybe looking for a gap give and go down here at that 168, maybe that 170. Let's see what Oracle has in store for us today. But that strength definitely interesting. No idea if that strength will continue off into the open. We can see that over the past few days. The strength that does come in the pre-market doesn't necessarily have too much of a continuation right off of the open, but the open has been quite nice since that earnings day 1, day 2, day 3. Day 3 right here. Today would be day 4. Let's see if we can get through this high at 173.70.
All right, a couple things on Tesla. Sharif actually pointed out on that Uber move to the upside. Tesla actually moved down right out of the gate. Just an algo move, obviously. We've retraced back to basically where it was, but starting to roll over here a little bit. Still down about 0.5% versus the overall market. But yeah, a couple of analyst with positive notes this morning. Price target hike here for Tesla.
Yeah, a couple of analyst comments, Brendo. Let's talk about Guggenheim. They're first over here. They kind of a backhanded upgrade over here, maintaining the sell, boosting the price target, though, from 134 to 153, basically citing modest demand growth, and they believe the upcoming robotaxi could be good for them, so they're kind of holding out there. Canaccord Genuity also chiming in, a lot more bullish this time than Guggenheim. They have their price target already set for Tesla, but they're talking about deliveries here being really good. 470,000 deliveries, Brendo, they're predicting for Q3 of this year. They're looking for that to grow as well, looking to grow EPS.
Interesting Uber getting the jump start here, specifically in their hometown as well, in Austin. So we'll see. Well, Elon, I'm sure he'll respond.
Million volume more now.
We're just looking at the pullback on Uber. If you're that, you got to be super fast when flash news comes out. If you can identify that resistance, so that 75 level, you've already pulled back halfway. But Tesla, you got the algo dump, and I just want to know, because I feel like I should have said this. It's like I look at the chart, I see it, and then I don't say it because I think it's obvious. If you look at when we had that flush right before 3 o'clock, and I know everyone was watching in the midday, or sorry, in the afternoon show, when there was that dump and then quick retracement for some longs that were great. That's exactly where Tesla went to. So when liquidity vacuums happen and algos dump the stock or lose the bid, they tend to gravitate towards liquidity replenishment points that it previously held. And you can see what was going on with Tesla yesterday morning, 226.5 support, in the afternoon, 227.33. So if we lose that, I think you're in trouble. But if you lose 226.5, I think it's a bigger deal to the downside on Tesla. I actually thought Tesla initially, obviously news can happen, it is what it is, it was setting up for a nice coil up and a breakout 231 into 235. Well, that was before this Uber news. And I'd probably just have to wipe that away. It doesn't seem like it wants to do that 31 to 35 move anymore. If it can't get through 31, it might just be a fade down into 226. That's disappointing because it did seem like Tesla was poised to do a coil and maybe breakout trade before we just got that Uber news. And just because we were saying it, Uber actually dipped as low as 71 now. So Uber is right back to $71 as they're selling it right off, goes right to that 75 on the daily. I feel like if it gets to $70, like that would be a nice area to buy. You never want it to retrace the entire move. You'd like to see it hold some kind of a higher low. 70 was yesterday's top.
Yeah, I think that 70 is going to be interesting there. I am kind of continuing to watch that. No regrets though. I'm just going to be waiting for the next trade here. That 75, beautiful kind of topping action there, and then we're pulling into 71.50s now. The spread much closer here. Only about 4 to 10 pennies at a time. And I was saying on the pop when we were only doing about 400K volume, 75 penny spread at a time. Now we're down to like 5 pennies. Okay, hello. We're also doing significantly a lot more volume as well. That we were doing about 400 or 500K there. Now all of a sudden we're doing 1.5. So since we've talked about it last, about 1 million shares have gone through Uber in the 70s off of that news there. But less of that, more of Tesla right now. Let's see what Tesla has been up to. Yesterday, a bit of a consolidation, but you can see we've been making incrementally higher highs and higher lows since like end of August, and obviously the August 5th bottom as well. Look at that, nice little trend to the upside. Bit sideways, but we'll be looking for these highs. I have an alert right there at that 235. That 235 was very interesting. A little bit of a double top there. Aggressive selling when we came into that. Aggressive selling when we were there in July as well. So it should be interesting if we do get up to some of these levels. Let's see if that selling pressure has lifted in the 230s on Tesla. That's what I'll be watching for if and when it shows up.
Let's talk on Boeing here. Back to the upside this morning. Not sure, as Tariff was just mentioning, who's buying this thing today, but maybe just shorts covering. After, this is going back to the beginning of September. Beginning of September, 173. We're trying to get back above 160 right now. Looks like the strike is going to happen.
It's a tough look, Brendo, and I take no pleasure in reporting on this. All right, 30,000 Boeing workers voted to strike. The percentage is eye-watering. 94.6% of the machinists voted to do that. The union is making several claims here. They're talking about discriminatory conduct, coercive questioning, even unlawful surveillance by management. The new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, noted that the tentative agreement was the best contract Boeing has ever presented. Their workforce included 25% increase in wages, improvements to healthcare, retirement benefits, and the analyst agencies are also chiming in here, Brendo. A 30-day strike could cost Boeing $1.5 billion in free cash flow, destabilize suppliers. A month, Brendo.
That's a staggering number. If anyone just saw that on screen as well, it was 1.3 billion a month. That's crazy for Boeing, guys. But back to the upside right now.
Yeah, so look, Boeing seems like its liquidity grabbed the 52-week low, which I guess it was just making one. Technically, it's not a 52-week low if it happened in the pre-market, but you know what I mean. It flat bottom broke it after 7 a.m. on this news, and now you're kind of screaming to the upside. I wasn't remotely thinking long on this stock at all, because I thought, okay, you sit down, it's flat bottom breaking underneath, you look for a consolidation down there, bingo, bango, bongo, you just hit the short, but it's going the other way. So it looks like there's some buyers in here on Boeing, and I don't think you don't want to fight it when they lick grab a low like this and retrace to the high. Obviously, it's got some trouble, I think, when it gets into the low 160, specifically 62 half. That's where we closed yesterday. Yeah. But Boeing, it's going to be a stay away from me on the short, unless it's failing up here. Like if it fails up at the top, that would be somewhere I'd look for the short. But yeah, Boeing, great recovery. Maybe there's some optimism that this isn't going to be as long, but I don't have any inside information on that whatsoever. I think certainly there's enough to look at today between Oracle, Tesla, now Uber, Adobe, and we're going to get to PDD because I think Pinduoduo, we've already seen what it can do to the downside a couple of days ago, and the tariffs, not a good look for them.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just looking back at the TV right now. CNBC, you got Kramer talking to a live anchor who's there at some protests, which seems like in Renton, Washington, I think. And yeah, headline is Boeing machinists go on strike, and it might be costing them anywhere between $500 million to $1 billion. But see what the price action's doing. 154.40 low, and yeah, I do agree with Neil there. A bit of a lick grab of these lows there. We were sustaining these 150 halves in the pre-market. We dipped down below, and that aggressive kind of bid back up into what you can potentially call a bit of a choppy range that's been happening. Let's go to a higher time frame here as well. You can see a bit of a step down, and yeah, these are these 52 week lows here. We haven't seen some of these prices at these lows since 2022, right? So if we continue to break down that 159, I think we have a lot of room to go. But with that bid coming right back in the pre-market, we shall see what we have in store today. Prior day's lows testing right now. Prior day's lows sitting at, what is that right there? At 159.11. We're trading at 159.70s as of right now. So it should be interesting. Let's see. It is doing some significant relative volume in the pre-market as well. We got about 7 times on the 5-period RVOL, but maybe not the top idea on the day. Let's see if it can get to some of these prior day highs, or let's see what it does with that prior day low here. But that continuation to the downside and the trend that this thing's been having seems a little bit. I guess I don't know. I think it might be something to watch for. That's what I got to say about that.
Yes.
PDD next on the list here, just made a fresh low on the session here. Now better part of 6.5% downside on these new rules the Biden administration releasing. I mean, part of this actually I saw after the close yesterday, but more details this morning targeting specifically lower priced shipments coming into the country. So things like the Temu app, things that sell, the cheaper end products going to be hit here.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of this rule, Brendo. It's called the de minimis rule. It allows you to bring in anything under $800 tax-free. And just to give you an idea of how they're really using this rule, about a decade ago, about 140 million products came in under this rule. Currently, it's over 1 billion. So the growth there is really being used. Essentially what it is, what they want to do is they want to make it hard and illegal to bring it in specifically, they're looking to actually block certain products. They're targeting Temu and Shein. Basically, a new rule would bar products subject to U.S.-China tariffs from being eligible for that de minimis exemption, and they would require specific data about what's contained in the shipment, as well as the labor practices, possibly here as they talk about child labor and also slave labor. Unverified, of course, but accusations being levied.
Just looking at a few of them, PDD still the most actively traded this morning. I mean, we mentioned that Alibaba had the initial move to the downside, bounced a lot more than this one. But, I mean, we're trying to hold here so far. 91 coming into play right now for PDD.
Feels like to me, if I'm going to lose on a short today, it should be Pinduoduo somewhere. You know, and it's easy to say because it's gross on the chart. I was trying to zoom. There we go. Now you can zoom out a little bit more. There was a hot moment when PDD was the best performing Chinese tech company. That's done clearly, as you can see. Like, the trend is obvious. Now, there hasn't been a break since the earnings bottom. So this is 88. Like, if it loses 88, that's a big breakdown. I think a 90 is an obvious level. I do want to be looking short pops. So there is like 92.5 to 93.25, like right in here would be that first initial short to pop though. But I think when you're playing something like this, you got to be nimble, right? Like, it's already dumped. If the relief rally starts to come in, it's easy enough to, I'm going to pick a level. It gets to that price. It goes once, you get stopped. I want to be nimble enough to try to find my re-entry point, because I am expecting that there will be a bid at some point in the stock. And then when it happens at the open on a Chinese ADR, you got to be careful. We've seen it with BABA when you want to go dip buying. I don't think it's any different here at PDD, but I only want to be looking to short pops. There hasn't even been a green candle on the 15-minute. They're bled here, but this was already under a tremendous amount of pressure and failed to break back above 100. So holding this consolidation just means it's probably valid shorts all the way up. Just got to be patient enough to find them.
Yeah, that PDD flush, I think that continuation is looking good through that 90. We can see that there's definitely something sitting here, right, at just above the 90. Every time we've gotten here over the past couple of weeks, we've gone that aggressive bid. Again, bit of a flush there post earnings that happened on August 26th. You can see that on day 3 of those earnings, we get that strong sell-off right there on Wednesday, August 28th. Bit of a gap up and hold of this 90 level right here. Another flush in, and look at that. Hold. Another flush, hold, pull back in. Let's see. Another flush. I don't know. Looking like a bit of a pattern here, Neil. Let's see what we do in and around that 90. Again, it is a Friday today, and we are aggressively selling off, and this is also a catalyst-driven flush. Look at that expanding relative volume going into the open. I'm definitely going to be having this one on watch today. Before that, we're going to pass it over to Sharif. What's going on, Sharif?
All right, man, we're finishing off our talk about trends. We'll finish off today talking about reversal days. Catch that with Adair and I on How to Trade at 11.
That's a great topic, because we've seen a few of those ones recently, and specifically, with regards to NVIDIA the last couple of sessions. I mean, the other day, there you go, it had a monster. Now, we didn't have a reversal of the downside. It was actually a trick. It looked like it was going to be a big reverse, thought you were going to get the reversal day, and then they ripped it on you. That's something to consider here. 118 in the afternoon held really decently. So 118 and, oh, goodness, no. Dude, we have 2 minutes to go.
Adobe just dropped 10 points.
We have this 117 half for the 50 period on the daily on NVIDIA. We double tapped 118 in the afternoon for support level. I like that for a bit of an over-under. Like, if it holds that 117 half, I think you're good to go dip and rip. That's in here. If it breaks it, I feel like you're in a bit of trouble. 90 seconds to go. Imbalances did just drop. I want to get them to you right here. Well, NASDAQ imbalances anyways. Oracle, buy almost 500,000. Snapchat, that's not that big a deal, 460. Unity's 300,000. Don't see the big cap tech names in there. Uber is a 200,000 buy. If you're looking at Uber, it's actually holding now back above 70, almost at $73. Uber. So it's come back. It actually did not get down to 70. So on that news, it popped up to 75, now back into 72. If it was going to continue, I was looking at that 70 level for sure. Rainmaker likes Unity. There you go. Oracle's already going, Obi.
Yep.
Yeah, Oracle.
Gap give and go. It's just
It is the give and go
it's just
is
a go.
On point. It's just a
gap
go.
go.
It's just a gap and go at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's looking like, all right, whatever.
We like
take
the long.
next trade,
We're looking
whatever
for some dips on Oracle. We might have to be a little bit patient
Oracle
with it.
dumping 10 points right now.
And Tesla going to the downside.
Adobe dumping.
I'm sorry, Adobe?
Yeah, just dumped 10 points right off the inbound.
Wow. Oh, yeah, not looking good for Adobe. You might see that 525. Your morning bell about to be rung for the final time this weekend, brought to you by Firefly Neurosciences as we drop the countdown here, prioritizing brain health. Wow, that's poignant after seeing what happened to Tua. But let's ring it right here, Adair, in 2 and 1. Let's go. And just like that, the party started. Ooh, Adobe. That was a heavy move to the downside almost right away. Eyeballs here on PDD as that's trying to spike. I think you got to be patient with this. I was anticipating you could spike to the upside. I wanted to see it test that 93 level. That's not happening. Oracle trying to dip. It's Tesla that falls the biggest at the open. Wow, Tesla down to 226 already, Obi. That's falling like a rock. But my eyeballs are on this Oracle to see where we can catch the bid on it, as it's looking pretty good, and then want to try to find an offer on PDD, but that's flying around into the upside. Let me just quickly show you guys what's going on with Tesla. I got level 2s up here to make sure I don't miss out on Oracle or PDD, but Tesla just got down to 226.5 and is now flying to the upside. Wow.
Yeah, a little bit of a pullback here on Uber as well. Got that on watch. Uber down to 71s. Let's see what we have in store for that. NVIDIA still trading at 119s. Again, I said to myself this morning, I said, yeah, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to be patient. Apple with a nice little flush. Be patient for things to kind of fall into my lap, right? That's what I like. And that's honestly, as of late, sure, I can be getting involved and, kind of taking shots at anything and everything that moves. But the question I have to ask myself is that really worth my time, right? There can be trades for sure that are straight off of the open, but do they align with my playbook? And do I really need to get involved right away for it to be the best trade for me on the day? Absolutely not, Neil. I think a lot of the times I'm finding, like, you observe the price action and you find that moment later on in the day, that precise moment when you can be a sniper and kind of be a lot more precise, right? So let's see if we can isolate any of those areas here. 118.40s coming in on NVIDIA. Going to be watching those as well. We tried to get through that 120 yesterday. Can't really get there. A lot of volume was traded through that 120 break. We get all the way up to 120.79, and we're trading right now at 118.80. That low is 118.41. Yeah, Oracle's at 172, Neil. I am watching that real close. Let's see what that has in store for us. I'm looking at some of these Mag 7s as well. Apple with the strongest pullback, Neil. Softy, we saw how strong that was into the close. That one's not really doing too much. Pre-market consolidation, very, very tight on Softy, and it's still kind of trading in and around that consolidation level. So gonna pack my patience for that one. Let's see what else is going on here. We were talking about ARM as well in the pre-market. ARM is still holding 142s, 142.5s. Nothing too crazy. Intel, though, Intel is breaking out of prior days highs, 2 days prior highs. So Wednesday, I'm
trying to figure out what's going on with Intel right now.
Wednesday was a very strong day, and we just broke out of that high.
No, it seems a little bit much on Intel. I mean, the market's not really flying, but I can think that it's going to be the NVIDIA show or the ARM show for the chip names. It doesn't matter. Clearly, you're seeing it's going to be Intel here. I don't know if it's going to get to the $20 level. It actually doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. Like, you're always looking for relative strength and weakness. Oh, give me the fill, PDD. Sitting right underneath 93, not picked up yet. Sorry, guys. I wanted to give you guys the thoughts on Intel there. Let me try to finish that in a quick little second. Trying to get that PDD on the way back in through 93. Didn't quite get it. But yeah, Intel looking very, very strong. This might be the one to go in for the dip buy, but I'm not going to change my plan at all. And guess what? Guess what's breaking 231?
Oh, boy.
Tesla. It's all the way back. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Tesla? We don't care about Uber and Waymo. We ain't afraid of no Uber and Waymo. Maybe they are. It doesn't really matter. Tesla's also flying in there. All right, I'm going to wet the beak at the 92.5 if I can on PDD. Just a bit of a change of plan there. Yeah, Tesla flying through. Looks like it wants to run the highs from yesterday. Good, strong move here for Tesla to the upside. feel like I should be taking this break on the 31, but I don't like the way it went parabolic into it. And then the overhead resistance is at 231.5. That's actual high yesterday's 231.5. So I want to play the dip after this, or we'll play the half break on Tesla. Looks like it wants it right here, Obi.
Yes, sir. So that 172 coming in on Oracle, watching that right now. A little bit of a bid, but we did flush down right off of the open quite aggressively. I'm going to continue watching that one. Uber as well. Adobe, guess where Adobe falls or bounces off of, Neil? 528. So just 3 points above that level we were watching at that 525, that pre-market low as well. So yeah, give or take 2 or 3 points. It is a $500 ticker, so I think that's well within the area that we were looking for that kind of bounce to come up into. But that high of this first 15-minute opening range is 537. So we did about a 10-point run to the high off of that dip into 527s there on Adobe. So continuing to watch that one, nothing too crazy. 171's trading here on Oracle. Let's see, we were looking for that 168. 171
or 170 even. I like 170.
Yeah.
Look, I like 170.
I want to be watching it.
So Tesla just got to 32. Okay, if you took the 31 break, it's better than the 50 break because you got a better price. I mean, that much is obvious. But I'm ring Reggie at the first dollar. If we pull back, I think this is valid. Like 231's good, but if you look at the afternoon resistance levels, like heck, this could pull back into 230.5. So when we say stay nimble, you might want to stay frosty with this. Like if it's, I think there's resistance that's obvious on Tesla at 235, which really only gives you 3.5 points on a $230 stock for this move. So it could easily go another dollar, and I want to grab outs and then try to find a dip buy in that 30 to 35 zone for sure. Look, Oracle's also about to set up here. That's the other one we're now watching. So Tesla, I got my stop underneath the even. If it breaks it, it breaks it. But this is at 170 level on Oracle. Oracle was the one I liked the best in here. So as it tests that, I want to see if the buyers are going to step in at the 170. If I see that, I want to try to go long this. Apparently, we're seeing some movement in, wow, Palantir's making some moves as well. The market's back up at those highs, guys. So the market's trying to take out top. So I'm seeing a pullback in Oracle. This could be the time to chomp at the bit for this 170. It's losing it now, Obi, but I'd like to see it regain. The buyers aren't really stepping in where you want to see them, so I'm not punching long until I see some buyers step in on the tape, and it's not happening just yet here. Let's go to Adara.
Nice volume pop right off the open here for ATPC. This is Agape ATP Corp. This company has run before, making a nice recovery here with volume right off the open after announcing this partnership with Photon Solar, this strategic partnership. Again, they have run in the past, so that is worth noting. They also do have a float of about 2.87 million shares, market cap of $5.5 million. ATPC, guys.
ATPC. Thank you very much there, Adara. Still Oracle not catching a bid. The offer is underneath 170 and actually continuing to show strength, unfortunately. So I'm going to get away from that, quickly show, oh, PDD took out the top, or did it take out the, yeah, it did. PDD, we shorted the first available opportunity, and it just took out the top. So we'll slap the L on PDD. I feel like I only wanted to be short this name, and I don't know if that's really drastically changed for me, but you have to sort of live through this initial move to the upside. It's valid to me until it gets 94 or 95. I want to see these the prior day low is actually 95.25. So I still think it's valid down there. Going to pop back over to Oracle. It's not really losing this bid completely. Like you're still in and around 169.5. It wants to try to hold this bid. You can see it at 69, but it might actually wait till the 68 here, Obi. You're not seeing them step up yet. It's just a price area. I need to see it reclaim 170. Tesla's doing fine. Feels like it really is hunting for that 233, but no, it just failed underneath 232 again. I was waiting for a dip buy under 231. We should have just taken a 231. But Tesla right back into this 231 as well. Still no bid there on Oracle, Obi. You're still falling to the downside on that one.
I'm watching it close, man. I'm waiting for that bid to kind of start to step in. Nothing too crazy just yet. 169 halves trading as of right now. So we did kind of churn like a decent amount there. So I am keeping an eye on it. Again, I don't expect it to work right away, but I am looking for a distinct difference here and potentially looking to take a shot at when I do see that. So let's see, 169. We did identify that pre-market low at that 168. We're only about a 1.5 points away from there. We are seeing a little bit more, I guess, mid-prints and greens here as we enter the 169s, but nothing distinctly different as the bid keeps getting hit pretty aggressively every time we do take a little bit of a bid there. 172s, we're trading right below that on Uber as well, and the markets, the NASDAQ is screaming to the upside here, so I've got to keep an eye on that one as well. Here, you know what? I like that a little bit there. So let's see if we can hold this 169 level. If we don't, that's perfectly fine. I'm more than willing to re-engage and add a little bit lower there as well, as Oracle seems as if it's having some trouble here at that 169. 168 is actually the much better area, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's still looking pretty heavy here on Oracle. I mean, I wanted it to be the number one, but it's not. To me, it's just not setting up yet. We did finally get to that 232 half zone, so we get that buck on Tesla. But I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth here. Felt like we'd be flying a little faster into like the next even dollar, which isn't happening. So I didn't get the reload at 231. VWAP set at the half. That was probably a mistake. We just want to see the continuation on this bad boy if we're able to get it. The other thing that's flying around here, and I know we're talking about the chips every now and then. NVIDIA does not get to the 117 half, 118 zone. It goes to 118 half and is now flying. So never quite got to the level, but it doesn't matter. I know a couple people that got this one on the dip buy, and now it's flying to the upside. I still want to play the support. It's early. The market's still in inside range. I feel like you can still pick this one up. There's going to be time to be able to get this as far as I'm concerned. And then ARM. About ARM, Obi.
Yes, sir.
ARM broke out, got to 145. It's on the dip trend. So this one is another one that's flying around here. You got some chips going here. NVIDIA, ARM, Intel, but ARM and Intel are starting to pull back. So a bit of a caution on those high flyers. I'm just in Tesla as we speak and looking for a chance to dip by whichever one of the chips we like the best. Oh yeah, the other thing you want to consider is Uber. Remember Uber on that news? Uber's underneath VWAP and struggling a little bit here. So Uber giving it back. Remember it was Uber up, Tesla down on the Waymo news. Well, now it's Uber giving back some of the gains and Tesla to the upside and continuing to go. But if you look at what's going on in the NASDAQ here, the reason why I'm not rushing into anything new, all you've done is lit grab the bottom and then test the top. No break in either direction. If we have one of those inside mornings, if you dip, you want to be patient, getting the stocks that you want, the longs that you like, wait for it to retest the bottom, or wait for us to break out and consolidate over the top. Right now, we're at the high, so I'm in a long. I feel like that's the right way to go. But my goodness, they just can't find a bid on Oracle. Every time I look over, I'm like, am I punching long yet? Am I punching long yet? And it's just not yet.
No, it's definitely not yet, but we're holding, we kind of broke below that 168. We're holding that 167.70s right now. But yeah, nothing too crazy as we do kind of attempt to push a little bit lower here. But yeah, no, I'm kind of slowly, incrementally kind of getting into it. Let's see if this will potentially work out here through the break of that. But yeah, that strong dip on Oracle, taking it right into that 168 level. Again, we saw that pre-market low action there. What's going on, Adara?
Just be aware of Instill Bio here. This one trying to make a move for a second day. Wednesday, they announced this $5 million near-term payment from one of its subsidiaries to another company. Then it gets a price target increase from $25 to $40 yesterday from H.C. Wainwright. No news on it today, but it is worth noting, much like yesterday, not a lot of volume to this move. We're talking under 600,000 shares, up to a $2 spread. Float here of about 6 million shares on a market cap of $300 million. Basic facts here with regards to TIL. Bit of a dangerous one, guys.
Yeah, so TIL was that stock from yesterday that's absolutely nonsensical. I'll get there in a quick little second. I just had a terrible price in Oracle, OB. It was one of those, I saw it put in the green candle. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but I don't like it myself. Like, I understand, okay, fine, like it's not completely unreasonable. Ultimately, I had like a half price in there, but like, no, I could have waited for it to show strength. I really could have. I'm going to slap the fail on this because I could have waited to show a little more strength. I wanted the first available bid. It looked like it had just held nicely at the 67, back up through 68. So I went half-half. and ended up with the $0.50 hit. It's still heading to the downside, everybody. And this is in the midst of the market flying up here.
Yeah.
Like the market is flying through highs and you're all kinds of strength. This just can't seem to go. You're wondering what's making it go. I mean, I know Tesla's doing okay, but it's not really breaking any more than it was earlier on the initial move. It's Meta that's doing some of the heavy lifting. Like, look at Meta. Meta's right at yesterday's highs. That continuation is certainly on here in META. It's not NVIDIA either. NVIDIA's dipping into VWAP. I thought when the market got to tops, if NVIDIA dipped, maybe we get a retest down around the 118, which we liked. Instead, all I'm seeing is VWAP hold, and more VWAP hold. Bitcoin's going up. The market's at this top, but goodness, it doesn't seem like it's going to be Oracle, at least not yet. That one needs to calm down a bit here. Going to start to focus on these chips. If we can find a nice higher low on NVIDIA, I think that's a decent place to be. Red to green story here. If it loses VWAP, it's going to lose being green at 119.
Yeah, I think that 119 hold is something else to note is that the NASDAQ is testing 19 halves right now, Neil. So 19 half test, again, consolidation highs there happening right here. So after hours yesterday, pre-market session today, right here, overnight session, that 19 half, a little bit of a breakout push into that 19.5 area. So let's see what that has in store for us here. NVIDIA taking a little bit of a pullback right now as well. And yeah, no, Uber not really doing too much. Uber in a very, very tight consolidation, Neil, here as it kind of chops and churns around this 72 level. So interesting stuff here. ES not really doing too much either. I'm taking a quick look at some of these other Mag 7 names here. Amazon attempting to push towards its highs as well. Softy kind of continuing that strength from yesterday. Apple's the only one that's looking pretty weak here on the day, selling off, trading at 222 halves right here, Neil. So we are back into yesterday's range, but yeah, pretty flat to kind of start the end of the week here. But something interesting to note. 560.92 highs on the spider there. So the SPY is looking a little bit closer to Softy as it pushes up to the upside as of right now. 165.70s on Oracle now.
Yeah, it just like that just continues to fall. And the problem now is the market's going with it, I think. So I'm happy to be out of it. I just feel like I wasn't quite patient enough on that entry. And even Tesla, like Tesla just on the breakout, Tesla was strong. It's just bouncing into VWAP in here. I don't like the market where it's at in terms of the pullback. So if it goes underneath VWAP, I want to be ready for 229.5. I want to stay up on this one. Either we get back in over the previous highs or we wait for it to duck down under. I'm back into PDD, by the way. So PDD, I felt like we were a little bit early. But I said if I'm going to lose short something, it should be Pinduoduo. I feel like that's right. It didn't wick the high at 94. I think this is a valid short unless it's breaking out back above. I mean, technically even yesterday's bottoms. But really, I like this level in here, like 94.7, right in around this 95. So I'm back in the short here at 6s. I do want to find a place to add to it. Maybe it tries to run the top again, and I can add to that short one more time through. Adara?
Really great breakout here for IMRX. This one is a small cap. It's run in the past here, up right now about 65%, announcing some positive data for one of its pancreatic cancer treatments in this trial here. So IMRX Immuneering on the way up, guys, with volume.
I was running, and that till stock, just everyone be cautious with TIL. That was the one that it halted right before the close yesterday and then gave up $15. Feel like there's some shorts that are obviously trapped in here when it was on the way down. Some of the relief got put in, but if this takes out the top again, the shorts are getting rinsed on this thing at this point. So just be careful with TIL. NVIDIA putting in that higher low, finally putting in that higher low. Let's see if it can't hold VWAP. I got to wait for it to get down to the 118. Yeah, it's coming right back in on the bid, unfortunately. So was looking for that one just to hold. Still seeing some weakness on these dips. We want to try and participate if we can. Oracle making another attempted bottom here. That's looking pretty good. Here I'm going to show you the two things I'm looking at. You got NVIDIA down in here, and then, of course, Oracle making a bit of a reversal off 166. This feels like we've been patient. Shouldn't have had the first one. I don't think I should have had the first one, but it's looking a little bit better if it can hold on to this current low in Oracle. Not there yet on NVIDIA. I just heard Amazon from Sharif, but my focus is on NVIDIA, Oracle, and a re-entry to Tesla.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at Amazon high a day here. So yeah, Sharif pointing that out. Amazon pushing 188 halves as of right now. So high of day incoming potentially on Amazon. There it goes, 188.47s as the market attempts. I mean, NASDAQ is still trading underneath 19.5 here, Neil, but the ES looking distinctly different as it pushes up to the upside here, making some fresh highs. Again, the spider is pretty strong on the day today, so we're going to keep an eye on that one there as some of those tickers kind of continue to the upside. But yeah, no, we were talking about Apple being pretty weak. It's still holding that 222 halves as of right now, while the rest of the market, Softy is bidding up, Alphabet's bidding up, Amazon's bidding up, but Nvidia and Apple, it would seem, are the weakest of the bunch. As yeah, they definitely lose it there. We were talking about Meta as well. Meta was a little bit on watch, but Meta is screaming to the upside as well. 526 trading right now, Neil. PDD, bit of a reversion on that one. Got to keep eyes on that one as well. With some of these tickers being stronger than the rest of them there. Uber still trading at 72s, man. Nothing too crazy on Uber just yet. We'll have to pack our patience on that one before Uber can potentially take us for a ride. But yeah, the only thing that I'm seeing that's distinctly different in terms of strength here is the spider and the ES pushing towards their highs. Here comes a little bit of a bid on Oracle. Maybe it's time to really get in.
Yeah, it's now held to double tap that 66 level on Oracle. It's looking a little bit better on ORCL, but it's still heavy, Obi. Like when I'm seeing it, like I'm watching the tape in here, there's buyers above 166. I feel like I had a bad entry, a little more patient in here. There's buyers above 166, but every time it goes up 20, 30 pennies or so, you're still seeing it sell off a little bit. So be cautious with it. NVIDIA is trying to hold on to that 118 half zone. That's looking a little bit better. The market's consolidating up top here. Like you're going to get a bit of a consolidation. Like we're going into overnight highs and we're catching a bit of a bid. So I do want to try the longs in this moment. If you take out the top, I think you want to be long in the stocks that you liked. That'll bring me back over to Tesla, but we need to get back to Adara at the desk.
This part of the show is brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Tired of being late to the trade? Always playing catch up in the market? Missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news? Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everyone else, pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving, and join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? Visit benzinga.com/pro and get a free 14-day trial.
Thank you very much, Adara. Finally, Oracle catches, but it just gave that $0.50. But NVIDIA is trying to take VWAP as well. Wow, what a move over there. My goodness, Oracle. Like it just got up to 167, and they slammed it again. As I'm looking at NVIDIA, NVIDIA is trying to hold VWAP in here, so I want to find a place to add on this higher low. On NVIDIA, you can start to see it try to form this trend line. I'd like to see some continuation. Maybe jam up here, see if you can add, but the market doesn't seem to want to take out the top yet. That gives us some time, but my point on Oracle, as I was amazed by it, like it came up, gave 167s, slammed again, just slamming the bid. So Oracle is it's not the one right now at all. Nasty move. And I look over at the two names, which were, don't look at ARM. Don't look at Intel. Okay, Intel's not as good, but look at ARM. ARM is absolutely flying. So ARM is clearly the one over NVIDIA at this moment. I mean, NVIDIA right now is like it's kind of bouncing a little bit, but I'd like when that moves 20, 30 cents, ARM just went like 50 to 60. That's the distinct difference between these two. So NVIDIA is starting to hold up a little bit better. I don't mind it, but today it doesn't seem like it's the one. Like I feel like we should be retesting the highs, getting into that 120 where I should already have an offer. I just realized. Let's see if it can do that. But ARM is absolutely flying. That is a big one to the upside. But there's some lag here in NVIDIA. Can't seem to hold green, Obi.
Yeah, no. Again, we were talking about that 19.5. We're still trading below that, so we took a little bit of a pullback below that 19.5 as of right now. So going to continue watching that level. It could be interesting if we get, again, a little bit of a over under 19.5. If we can continue to the upside there, then yeah, I think some of these names are poised for a little bit of strength. As well, you can see that again. We talk about some of the Mag 7s, or Mag 7s are, I guess, distinctly different from each other. Some of them, Apple and Nvidia, looking a little bit similar with that weakness, but the rest of them, man, very, very strong to the upside. So there is a bit of a discrepancy there. ARM is hella strong to the upside. 146 is the high of day right now, and that thing is screaming. I got TQs pushing for prior day highs as well. SMCI showing some strength as well. So yeah, a lot of these chips to the upside. I know you were looking at Intel. Intel's still holding in and around that
little bit.
These highs from the week, I guess, week highs as of right now on Intel. So we're gonna keep a watch on that one. That $20 area, man, I think that was good. That 72 finally pushing on Uber. Let's see, we're catching a little bit of a bid on after a strong consolidation at 72. Couldn't really sell off of 72. We're pushing into 73s. As of right now here on Uber. So let's see what that one will have for us. 72, a little bit of a missed opportunity there as we, again, build a little bit of a flag into that 72 before breaking out. So we're going to continue watching that one there. Where is the next trade? That's what I'm asking right now. Nothing too crazy. A little bit of a hold here on Oracle. But again,
no, it comes right back.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming right back in. So we're
Oracle is
consolidation here.
No, Oracle is having trouble here. Like it finally made this is the right entry, at least if you're looking for the long, but it doesn't matter. Like it finally gave you the consolidative bottom. So if you're gonna get the bounce that you're looking for, right in here at that 66 is the right spot. But if it makes a fresh low, man, you got to give up on the stock. Well, I'm not saying give up on the stock. But like I said, my hands are even on the keyboard there. It's like we get a reload and then it's already running the bottom. It's not the one right now. I feel like that's about as good a patient entry as you're going to get. And it bounced and it got less than $1 after falling 11. Fell $11 and then it's struggling to bounce one. Now I still think it can catch a bit of a bid, and at least we were patient with it that second time. But man, this thing just refuses to catch that bid. I got to go back and quickly give you guys Tesla. Tesla lost VWAP. It's still falling here for Tesla. So I was looking for where we could pick this one back up, and we still have to be patient. Like I'm not really seeing the buyers step in. The 230 level starting to hold, but not really doing a heck of a lot here on Tesla. Barry. You just mentioned Mara. Oh my goodness, Barry in the chat. I don't think it's Mara 16 that you just said Mara 16. It was 16 and a quarter. 16 and a quarter. Or sorry, check that. 16.20 on Mara. Man, I had this stop order all day yesterday on Mara. Am I really taking a top break today? I mean, I was all day yesterday. I had this top break. Question is, do I still like it as it's going parabolic into it? Usually the answer is no. I want to be long going in and not punching a top like this. So I would say dip back to 16 on any kind of a fail break. We're going to have a number, I think, in about a couple of minutes here.
Boy.
So I feel like I want to get in. Anything I get, I want to get on the other half of the 10 o'clock number now. So I'd maybe wait for some dip buy opportunities. We're still in NVIDIA, but it just can't seem to get past VWAP. We got 19s in. It hasn't really broken down past that 18.5, but it's not going up either. Got to look for some short opportunities in here. Because don't have any, and the market gave up off the highs. Usually I find a short in that moment.
Yeah, we're taking a bit of a pullback here, both on the ES and the NQ. Again, that 19.5 coming in interesting. 72 is back in here on Uber, so that's definitely interesting. So we did kind of pop, but failure to follow through on that pop on Uber. So I guess it was a short ride off of that support on 72s there. But Costco, Neil, we were talking about Costco coming in. Costco's coming into some of those highs there. Bit of a continuation breakout off of that 918 on Costco. Let's see if that can really bring us in as of right now. So this is what I'm looking at here on Costco. So you can see that we dipped off of the open and then ripping to the upside. 916, 918s trading as of right now here on Costco. So let's see if we can get through that 920 mark on Costco. And then you were saying Walmart would be something to watch as well. So
yes.
Walmart looking relatively similar there with that bit of a bounce, pushing again its all-time highs as it breaks through that 80 mark right there. So pretty strong. Some of these I guess retail names on that Costco move. Costco as well. Those would be all-time highs if we continue to push through those 900 halves there on Costco. Spider still holding, 561. I have 560 halves as the month open on the Spider, Neil. So we are above the month open as of right now, and it's about what's the 13th of the month, Friday the 13th today. Neil.
It is Friday the 13th. I'm pretty sure we were looking at that yesterday. It doesn't actually mean anything to the markets Friday the 13th, so it's just one of those things. I don't think it means the market's going red, but the market isn't exactly bouncing off this, off this red to green story. Like, we're still looking at the same thing in the NASDAQ. You're going into overnight bottoms, or highs, I should say, and you're consolidating. No break at the top, no retest of the low just yet. I'm looking over, like, Boeing still looking relatively strong. I don't necessarily get it, but I don't have to understand it to, what to say. I'm not going to trade it. Like, I feel like I thought that was going to be a short, and I didn't see a reason for the pop, so I'm going to stay away from it. Oracle's starting to look a little bit better here. We do have that number, so let's go to Adara. I wanted to get in on the other half. Oh, now it goes. I should have just gone long.
You just got the Michigan Consumer Sentiment preliminary print here for the month of September coming in at 69, so above the consensus of 68 and the forecast of 67.4. Michigan 5-year expectations for preliminary for the month of September also above expectations here. 3.1% versus 3% expected. 73 is the number here for the preliminary consumer expectations print, also above consensus of 71, forecast of 72. Current conditions, 62.9, also above estimates. Current inflation preliminary here is at 2.7%. So this one actually below the forecast. Only number below forecast is the inflation expectations. The others are all above estimates here. Again, preliminary prints for the September Michigan Consumer Sentiment print. We have the market pulling back a little bit here for the S&P 500, trying to figure out a bit of a sense of direction, as we often see with these 10 a.m. numbers. Lots of interesting things to talk about here in the market. Worth noting as well, we just have potentially a minor catalyst here in Apple coming through. Noted Apple supply chain analyst Ming-Chi Kuo tweeting out here that there's a potential indication of faster delivery times for the iPhone 16 after the pre-orders than what we saw for the 15. Other stories here include Moderna, this one trying to trend down here for a second day in a row, getting a series of downgrades from JP Morgan Chase, Jefferies, and Oppenheimer. We also have Boeing here down about 2% right now, though definitely not at its pre-market lows, having 33,000 aircraft assembly workers in its machinist unit vote to strike in the company's first strike since 2008. Lots to look at here in this market, guys.
Lots to look. Oracle made another bottom in there. I said I wanted to wait till the number came out to try and get the rubber band play. Well, it snapped to the downside for sure. Patience worked on NVIDIA. It bounced off 118, was able to get filled in here on the way back up. It's trying to get into VWAP. I'm going to take some out in front of VWAP, man. We're in right before, then after we're able to get it off of the pre-market lows there, or the opening range lows, and that support that you got late in the afternoon. Now we need to get back into VWAP. That'll be the step one. Step two would be breaking VWAP and then trending back to the upside. I'm jumping back over to Tesla. Tesla lost it as well. So a lot of things flushing big, flushing huge on that number and trying to catch some rebounds. Obviously, you were mentioning Apple before. Apple did not really do much off the lows. Like, it took 220 by a couple of cents and then came right back in. So Apple finding a much better support level. I'm still sticking with NVIDIA for now, but I think that might have given an opportunity. Realistically, if you were in ARM, you just went down into 145 and instantly right back at the highs. ARM is certainly looking very strong. Meta in here pulled into VWAP and then instantly bounced. So both those looking pretty good. I feel like I should have been on ARM instead of NVIDIA, although NVIDIA is trying to go now. It's not doing as much as I was looking for. I know Unity's making some power moves, everybody. That wasn't necessarily part of my trade plan. But yeah, Unity. Usually I do like Unity underneath VWAP, but it did make a nice breakout at 20. 20 is a pretty key price area. The other name, which I should not be ignoring, I feel like I've been ignoring it too much, was the move up that we just saw on Intel. Look at the double wicks here. I looked up at my Intel chart. I'm like, you kidding me? Double wicks into prior highs for a bounce play. Ooh, man, Intel looks like a long today. At least that stock is cooperating if you got it. So NVIDIA did just get into VWAP, so we're able to get it off of those lows. It needs to carry and hold above VWAP here. 119's been a problem. That's where we were long originally and lost. Now we're just able to get it back as it's finally starting to head to the upside. Come on, let's go run into the upside. NVIDIA need to power it back up. If the future can get back to 19.5 and NVIDIA is not getting into this high 119 or 120 range, then I know it's in trouble. Because it should be up there if we get back to the top on the future.
Yeah, I'm watching that NVIDIA as well, man. But that number coming out, a bit of a muted action here. We flush down heavy down towards 19.4, and then we pick right back up. So we're catching a bid back towards that 19.5 as of right now here on the NASDAQ, and the ES as well, kind of reclaim some of those levels here. So we're going to be watching that. 119 is trading on that NVIDIA move there. So yeah, a little bit of a strong volume on that number. You can see it here on this volume candle that I have pulled up. So a lot of volume coming in there with that little bit of a shake and bake, and we're pulling right back up. So a bit of a lick grab of the opening range lows, as well as a lick grab of that after hours kind of low here into some of these levels there. And that VWAP coming in as well as of right now. Let's see if we can break through that high a day there, 1995. But before that, we got Adara. What's up?
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience is revolutionizing brain health. Our groundbreaking brain network analytics technology is transforming care for patients with depression, dementia, anxiety, concussions, and ADHD. With 15 years of research and a wealth of brainwave data, we're set to illuminate the future of diagnostics and treatment. Pharmaceutical companies and medical practitioners, get ready. FDA 510K cleared BNA technology is here to supercharge your clinical trials and enhance patient care. Join us at Firefly Neuroscience, traded on NASDAQ as AIFF, and be part of the next big leap in neuroscience. Ignite hope, one brain at a time.
Yes, sir, and it's the kind of hope that you want, right? Like that's positive hope. I love that. I love that story from Firefly, and we always wish them the best. Especially you can make money doing something that is positive for the world. All the better. But you never want to be hoping in trading. Nope. That said, hey, I hope NVIDIA gets to 120. It is what it is. Like, I mean, it's either going there or it's not. Let's be real. It gets regardless of what I say, it's going to either get up in here to 120 or it's going to flush. When the market gets to this 19.5, because I still think we're dealing with the same thing here on the NASDAQ. It was just like that number was the opportunity to maybe catch a bit of a dip and then go dip and rip. But now you're just retesting the highs. If no break of the high, I'm going to jam out off of this top and then just look for another area to possibly get in. I'm looking over at, my goodness, Micron is really, what? Wait a minute. Okay.
You're in that.
Micron, all right, so Micron yesterday off of that, it wasn't the 52-week low, but they got a double downgrade. Yeah, interestingly enough, you double downgrade them right when they're at the last line of support on the stock. It bounces, and now it continues. Shoot, Micron taking out 91 would be very bullish. It is what it is. I'm trading NVIDIA. But that's pretty bullish. So you get the liquidity grab at the bottom, and then now you're trying to take out the top here. That's one heck of a reversal. Shout out to anyone that's on Micron. I can't even imagine why I would have been looking along on that stock over this or over NVIDIA or even ARM. But good look on Micron to everyone that's hollering about it. Look at ARM, up 6% on ARM. And you can't even get 1% right now on NVIDIA. Well, 1% from the bottom, but not on the day. ARM is flying here, Obi.
Yeah, definitely pushing up there, right through 19.5. So we talk about that level being a little interesting there. The NASDAQ are ripping through that 19.5 as of right now. Let's see if we can get that a little bit of a continuation here on the market. That 119.68 trading on that NVIDIA there. So NVIDIA is about to push only about 40 pennies away from those day highs there. So let's see if we can get to that 30 pennies now, Neil. 119.63s. I see that you are long over a point in the money there. Nice trade off of those 118s, Neil. Let's see if we can get through that 120. Yesterday's high was interesting as well. We attempted to push through that 120. That 120 had a lot of size as well. Some like one of the largest volume candles on the day.
It was huge.
Was that 120 with all that size getting printed there, and then we continue. Can't really get to 121, but we continue to the upside. today, attempting to push through that 120 once again. So let's see if that 19.5 kind of holds and continues. I think that will give us some good confluence and some market tailwind for that long there. But solid long on NVIDIA there.
I have to listen to myself, Obi, because I just said if we ran the top and on the futures and had a pullback, that I would get out and look for the next entry. And the other thing, too, is there's a couple of other stocks which I feel like are giving you some good levels in here. So we're able to grab it off that low in NVIDIA, but I feel like you didn't get to the high, and that lower high was at 119.75. So you got the one wick in here to 95, but then these lower highs are at 75. It wicks the lower highs and then can't break the 50s. So I like that for now. Now, if the market breaks the top, there's always a 120 break. If we don't break the top, there's a dip at 119. There's what's happening in Micron, where it's trying to crest at a very key $91 level as well. I don't want to give up on NVIDIA just yet, but I feel as if being a little bit more nimble and waiting for those really good entries is going to get us back into it. It's just been, I mean, PDD sucked, Oracle has stunk, but Tesla and NVIDIA for me, that's about it. And Tesla even, actually, no, Tesla's looking relatively weak here. No, I don't like that anymore. The market's breaking out these tops, and Tesla looks like it's giving it up in a big way. I'm just going to double check. I haven't even looked at AMD yet today. I've been on NVIDIA as the long, which has worked. Even AMD looks stronger than NVIDIA at this moment. Everything looks stronger than NVIDIA in the chip names. That's interesting.
Yeah, both Apple as well. Have you looked at Apple?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of focused on the specifically the semi names here. Like ARM was a missed opportunity because that's stronger. Even Intel was stronger than NVIDIA today. And now AMD's double top 153 with, I mean, nothing till you get to 57, 58. You know, like this seems like it might be a little bit better, at least on a breakout. The dip levels I kind of like on NVIDIA, no questions asked. But I'm trying to find something for short off this 19.5 level on the NASDAQ. And I don't really have any stocks that I like that are trending down that I can short back into VWAP or that are looking relatively weak in the big cap tech space. So that kind of leads me to looking for dip buys one more time.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely one name, Neil, here in the tech group that is looking weak, and yeah, that is Oracle. Oracle continues to kind of flush to the downside here. 165s didn't really hold that consolidation. We're trading below now 164 halves as of right now. So yeah, this thing is down in the dumps as of right now. So nothing too crazy in terms of the long there. No real relief that we're getting. 72 still holding on Uber. I'm not really seeing too much else. Let us know in the chat what you guys are trading. I know that a lot of people are mentioning NVIDIA as well. A lot of these tech names are kind of pushing to the upside here. Again, that 19.5, we're still holding in and around that level. So a lot of consolidation, a lot of chip chop happening there on these chips as we attempt to push through some of these levels. That consolidation, look at that, this high, this high, this high, this high. We're still holding above those levels, and now we're pushing to the upside there. There we go. A break back above that 19.5 there, Neil. So let's see if we can get that bid coming in on the market. Looking at NVIDIA here as well. NVIDIA, again, nice little consolidation. I'm okay, thank you for the coffee. Appreciate it. 118.32 or 118.02 is the low of day there, Neil, on NVIDIA. A bit of a lick grab as well. I like that. Let's see. It's pretty much range bound as of right now. As the market, again, a little bit of I guess not really range bound here on the Nasdaq, but it is kind of chopping just underneath that 19.5. So it remains to be interesting here on those names. So let's see what else is moving. Adobe still catching a little bit of a bid. Spider trading at 161.65. So the Spider is slowly but steadily continuing to trend up there. That's definitely an interesting look there. ARM, Neil, oh boy, ARM continues to go.
ARM is breaking limbs for everybody right now. Like, it's ridiculous what's going on in ARM. Oh no, NVIDIA does not hold on to VWAP. Oh, see, this is why I should be picking AMD. NVIDIA loses VWAP, and so there's a new thing going on in Benzinga. Every now and then you're going to hear me like react to it, but they have a new alert system, which is pretty cool. But it's kind of catching me off guard every now and then when I'm in the middle of talking. So we lose VWAP on NVIDIA. I still maintain I like the long. I'm willing to risk 20, 30 cents every now and then when it's giving you those dollar moves. I'm back into PDD, but I got to show you. I'm going to go back to AMD in case this was a little bit fast. So AMD's holding higher lows into 153. That is a clean 153 top with the high just a couple of pennies above. So if it breaks there, it needs to be above 5. It's 03 is the actual high of the day. There's nothing on top of this until you get into like 158. So I think it's got a pretty blue sky setup. The problem being is we keep doing this on the futures. We keep losing 19.5. Over and over and over again, we just keep losing this 19.5 level. And when I look at what is not strong, like you're at the 50 period currently on Apple on that daily. You're at VWAP with lower highs on Apple. Apple looks like it should be the one if I'm shorting something. It's almost like a Head and Shoulders is setting up on Apple. And I've been looking for something that sets up as a short in case we don't break this 19.5. I know what I like. I like some of those chip names to set upside. But Apple, seemingly on a bit of a Head and Shoulders, could be the one to the south side here. Siobhan is saying check Palantir. I will get to in a second. I just want to set up on Apple. And I have my order set on AMD as well in case it takes out that top.
Yeah, so we're getting a bit of a struggle there with that 72.
2.
I'm continuing to watch that 72 there on Uber. Yeah, a little bit of a hold here on Oracle as well. It didn't really hold that 165 as well as I was looking for it to. I did get in quite early and kind of I guess averaged into it. I still want a lot more for this ticker in terms of what the size I'm trying to take here. So I am kind of I guess playing a little bit with my risk as it potentially comes in. It could also not come in. And I'm willing to give it that a little bit of a wide risk until it kind of shows itself there, if it's going to show itself at all. That 19.5 coming in once again here, Neil. So let's see if the market can finally push towards these highs. I'm watching the strongest name right now is Alphabet. Oh boy, what a recovery on Alphabet. Alphabet is pushing for high of day, trading at 156s, Neil. So 156 push on Alphabet there, Google, as the spider pushes up to its highs there. We were talking about Amazon being strong as well. If Amazon did pull back from its highs as of right now, trading at 188. So let's see what that one has in store for us. As again, we knock on the door once again of this 19.5 here on the NASDAQ. ES not really doing too much. NVIDIA not really doing too much. Still trading within its opening range here on NVIDIA. That 72 hold on Uber, man. That is definitely interesting as it kind of just consolidates, chop. We are holding a bit of a compressing price action.
What's interesting about the hold on Uber of the bid is you're getting a hold of the offer on Tesla here. And I feel like I'm just biased to the fact that the Tesla breakout kind of worked. So it's like, okay, well, the breakout kind of worked, so let's look for longs on Tesla. No, it's now setting up a fail break on Tesla. Like suddenly ignore this dark pool wick. It's like a fail break of yesterday's high and a trend back down that if you can't take out this 231 again, you've got the wick over and then you've got reestablished resistance on Tesla. So maybe it's my bias getting the best of me here. And as I was saying, looking for a short, if we fail 19.5, maybe this is the one, but we're back above 19.5. So that has to wait for another moment. We're back above 19.5. NVIDIA is back above VWAP. Back into it. If it gets to the half where it failed before, going to take some profit. You're getting a VWAP dip on AMD. So this is setting up for a VWAP dip and a break of the high of the day at 153. Oh, and Pinduoduo here. I'm going to give you the black chart because I want to stay on AMD. Finally made a lower high. Like the first time I was in, just too early. Then we actually waited for a dip to make a pullback VWAP trade. That still ran stops. Then it gives a consolidation and a lower high. So we're in it. I don't know if third time's a charm, but it's like a 3 strikes you're out rule kind of thing when it trends like this. I said I wanted to wait for fading opportunities in it. So that's what I'm doing here on Pinduoduo. And we are going to the desk with Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by Trade the Pool. Becoming a funded trader means trading with the firm's money instead of your own. At Trade the Pool, you first complete an evaluation by hitting profit targets while managing risk. Once you pass, you get access to up to $260,000 in buying power. You keep up to 80% of your profits while the firm covers the risk. It's the perfect way to trade big without risking your own funds. Ready to become a funded trader? Join Trade the Pool. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description.
Thank you very much, Adair. Appreciate it. But buried in the chat saying SMCI short squeeze. Well, if every chip name is going, except for maybe NVIDIA, which is still at 119, SMCI. There's an actual SMC, which I'm finding out just now. SMCI might as well go to, but I feel like it's a day where, you know, the market is trying to go and not going. Wow, look at the relative strength in these guys as well. Unbelievable. SMCI squeezing, ARM squeezing, NVIDIA can barely hold on to the 19 level. Like, again, I was long at 10s. It can't hold 19 even. So I'm still waiting for it to show me the bottom that we're looking for. Let me just do the 15-minute on SMCI. In order to squeeze, you have to break out resistance. That happens at 77, not 65. So I think the next big level here is going to be 77 on SMCI. Good luck. I mean, this and ARM are the ones that are looking like absolute rocket ships. Let me just go back over to PDD because that's the only thing we're in. Doesn't work. Now on the 15-minute, you actually have red. Hey, look at that. You wait for it to get to the key price, 95, and then sellers actually come in. So I feel like we're at least patient with it, but just because you were patient and got the entry that you like, it doesn't mean it's going to automatically win. I'll tell you right now, I felt like I had the right entry on Oracle.
Yep.
You know, like, everything about it in here at 66 felt like I was waiting for the right spot. I got it. It's consolidating. It's starting to go. It starts to break out. Prints in front of 67. Everything about it looks pretty good. And it still ended up trending down anyway. So, you know, you can have whatever style you have. Like, it's like, for me, it's like, oh, take the hit, get out, look for another opportunity, be willing to take the hit, look for the next best opportunity. Whether you do that or hold, like, it's been all roads leading to the same thing on Oracle as it trends back into said downside. But got to work on what's going to be next here. And with the market looking strong again, AMD still at VWAP. No break yet of the high for AMD. VWAP hold. It looks okay, but then I keep coming back over to ARM. ARM.
Yes, sir.
ARM is just trend up.
ARM is just strong arming to the upside.
Like, it is just clear trend to the upside on ARM. It might get to 150. As we speak, that is a
that could definitely be a level.
Well, 150 is going to be crowded. I wouldn't want to be punching that long. Not on ARM. ARM is I had this drawn on ARM. This is not just a random level of 150 on a Friday as an options level. That's not it. Go back on the daily. Come to my chart for a second. This was a huge level. If we come to my chart. Sorry, guys. Is a huge level here. 150 was big support. When it lost that support, trended down to $105. Consecutively. So this is a monster level at 150. I think it's a crowded breakout trade if you try to take it, but it's already 1020, which means we got to get on over to Adara in the small cap recap.
Yep.
Just a quick note on SMCI before we do that. SMCI, I just checked, a short float of about 15%. No news on Supermicro Computer that I could find, but it is one that tends to attract some retail attention, so just be aware of that 15% short float. In terms of the IWM, we are coming into a fascinating level for this one. Potentially a bit of a topping tail candle forming for the Russell 2000, up about 2%. Generally here, though, on an uptrend with decent volume and a bit of a stronger looking chart than what we're seeing with some of these other indices. The theme of these small cap partners today is going to be names with larger short floats that have run in the past, including GEVO. This is GEVO Inc. is the name of the company. Yesterday here they announced this $210 million deal for some of these ethanol and CCS assets. They also do have here about a 10% short float and reiterating a buy rating here from H.C. Wainwright. Next up we have PCT, Pure Cycle Technologies. This one, over $1 billion market cap, but a 28% short float. This one continuing to trade higher following an announcement on Wednesday here. Series of transactions with a couple different management companies to raise $90 million. And last but not least, IMRX Immuneering. We have a 5% short float in this one, announcing some positive data from its pancreatic cancer treatment for IMRX. Lots to look at today in the small cap world, guys.
Yes, sir. And I was just asked about Redfin here, up 15 points. Another stock, another lack of any red candles on it, just a parabolic mover into the upside. It's not like there's anything. This is blue sky setup, so technical analysis on a blue sky setup is kind of non-existent unless you want to draw some kind of a trend line in there. That's at least for myself. Like, there's nothing that I can see here Like there's no support or resistance prior that's going to make any difference in a stock like this. All you could do is, if you try to draw a trend, you got to use a moving average or something. It's way too steep to the upside. So this is gone as far as I'm concerned. Nice looking move here on Redfin, but I don't have any technical levels on this stock. I would probably slap a moving average on it and just look for a potential retrace. You're still doing the exact same thing on the NASDAQ where you're retesting the highs. And, you know, there's a few names that we haven't talked about yet, but I say yet, as Starbucks never got to 100, obviously you guys can see, but it made a bit of a rounded bottom and is trying to break that back out through VWAP. And if you note what happened in Starbucks yesterday, we had late longs in Starbucks, but not until it got to VWAP and then started breaking higher in the afternoon. It dipped and held, and it's doing a very similar pattern here as the market's breaking out. This gets above VWAP. I think it's a run into 100. I said this yesterday. If Starbucks gets to 100, my intention is not to be long at $100. My intention is to be long going into $100. Like I'd like to be long somewhere in 99 to 100 instead of punching 100 like a sucker, because I feel like that's not the trade that I want, to be sure. JCB Sports Cards, shout out to you in the chat. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Getting a lot of questions in the chat today. Remember, hit that like and subscribe. It's a subs-only chat. If you want to ask any questions or just communicate with our great trading community that we have here at Trader TV Live, then you hit that sub, then you can communicate with everybody in here. We get a lot, like look at TQQ, look at Serve, REITs are all going up. There was a couple of deals in Canada with some REITs, but that's more of a, yeah, you have rate cuts going in there, which could bode well for the sector. That's a good one. I know Serve's making some power moves. I kind of have eyeballs over here in Starbucks, which is now regaining VWAP. I'm looking at NVIDIA. It's still trying to take that 119. And AMD, I'm assuming, still not above VWAP and not breaking 153 either. So nothing doing here yet on advanced micro devices or NVIDIA. I want to be patient with reentries. The market's breaking out the tops, and the chip names I'm looking at aren't going, but that's a yet.
No, I think I just saw somebody in the chat saying, yeah, there is a 165, I guess, seller there holding the offer on Oracle. So I guess not going to be getting too far unless that seller kind of lifts there. But a bit of a reversion here on Adobe. We were looking at that one earlier, that 525 level I was talking about, Neil. Oh boy, the low, 526.60. So we did get lower than that earlier level, and then we did bounce off of that 525, Neil. So, oh boy, that level really coming into fruition there. Yeah, market getting a little bit choppy here in and around this 19.5. We did break through it. We accelerated to the upside there, and then couldn't really sustain as we're coming right back into these 19.5s as of right now. And yeah, Adobe continues to kind of sell off there. So I'm probably going to be done with this one soon enough as it continues to kind of sell off. And I was definitely wrong on this one with the selling kind of coming in aggressively. But yeah, somebody in the chat did point out, I do see it as well, that 165 kind of a hold. Every time it gets into that 165, bit of a strong hold there on the ask. Again, the book being a little bit more balanced there with buyers and sellers as we continue to chop sideways, looking for that 165 seller to lift and potential reversion back into VWAP right here. But we've been holding the 8 moving average as well. If you guys are using simple moving averages or I guess exponential moving averages. I like the exponentials for momentum because they do keep a little bit of a tighter knit hold onto the candles there. And here comes another attempt off of Uber to continue to the upside. 73s incoming here, as again the ES pushing a little bit more than the NASDAQ here, Neil, and the NASDAQ definitely pulling back in. What is NVIDIA up to? Let's take a quick look.
NVIDIA is now looking very weak.
Yeah,
Obi.
pulling in
like a lot of things are starting to look very weak. We just wicked the you-know-what out of the future. Sorry, Starbucks was trying to hold VWAP, and it obviously did. It just doesn't look strong. I was looking for a dip buy there. You can see it's not looking good. So I'm not going to buy it if it doesn't look good. But NVIDIA and the market back underneath resistance or support. So the dip buys do not feel like we're going to get there. NVIDIA doesn't want that 120. It wants no part of it. The only good, like the long that made it was the one at the 10 o'clock number. And even then, that's just because we basically had a number dump us and then allow you to get back into the top of the range. Everything else is a moot point. Apple approaching low of day here on this reverse. Tesla, my bias got the best of me with Tesla because I should have shorted VWAP in. Mea culpa, everybody. I should have shorted this once I realized it was a false break. But you're definitely pulling back. And I feel like if we do lose the top here, there's some names that could play some catch up, certainly. Like I'm looking over, like Intel stopped going up. And if it loses support, I think it can be down at 19. I'm just in PDD off of its local high. But there's a lot of names that are starting to look like they're not as strong as before. And I think NVIDIA is starting to get there. If it loses 118, I think it's in trouble. Apple's already looking bad. Tesla's certainly looking weak to me. And you're holding on to strength barely on some of the names that were strong before. Like, well, Google's holding up the tops, but even it's starting to pull back. ARM did a bit of a pullback as well. I tried to be patient. I thought Starbucks was going to hold that bid. It did not. I guess I have to wait for short the pops on Apple and Tesla if we're not going to get this breakout that we've been looking for. Adara.
Bitcoin continuing to look pretty interesting here on the daily chart. Another day of chopping in and around that $58,000 level. In terms of stories in the crypto space, this one was mentioned earlier today as well, but we do have MicroStrategy that is, of course, run by Michael Saylor, having its largest Bitcoin acquisition here in about 3 years. 18,300 Bitcoin purchased here for around $1.11 billion, so $1.11 billion purchase. Now they currently have around 244,800 Bitcoin MSTR, and that's going to be valued at $14 billion, or roughly 1% of all of the Bitcoin produced. So very interesting look here for MSTR. In terms of Bitcoin itself, still having these lower highs with this 54,000 bottom. So pretty interesting look here in the daily chart. Let's see how that shakes out. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum slightly negative on the day. BTC just losing that 58 level. Ethereum trying to hold on to the 2,300. Bit mixed for a lot of these names. Slight positivity, but generally a decent amount of downside. Solana down about 2.5%. Cardano down about 1.5%. Doge and Toncoin both pretty strong right now, but a bit of a muted day in that cryptocurrency space, guys.
Just rug pulled. There, that support that had been there all morning just got lifted. I just saw NVIDIA go through the 118 level. Apple took 222. It's trying to wick the bottom. At least on Apple is trying to wick the bottom here and hold on to the 222. Holding on to support at least a little bit here. NVIDIA, not at all. Like NVIDIA goes right underneath that 118. That's the difference. Like NVIDIA took out, went to the $0.50. Let me get on the bid there. NVIDIA did get to the $0.50, but suddenly it's not looking nearly as good as before. I think you've got a bit of a gap to 116.5 here on NVDA. If 118 holds underneath, I think you get to that level. If we regain it, I'd probably give it to that prior support. But sometimes you just got to look over and flip it up. I felt like I was going to get Intel instead to the short side. But Intel fell a lot faster. It never broke the support level yet, so I think I might want to get this one off of VWAP if there's any kind of a bounce. But we've resolved ourselves in the futures here, at least a little bit. You know, like you failed the breakout and you did that consolidation off the top. Feels like it's just like maybe a consolidation toward the bottom here on said bid. I'd like to think maybe ARM could hold up because it was so strong. But NVIDIA didn't want 120 so badly. I'd rather start looking for shorts and things that weren't retesting those highs. Names like ARM, if you're still long ARM, like that's strong. It's bouncing off of VWAP. So that one still looks like it's holding its upward trend. Whereas the rest of these names are looking a little bit weaker. I haven't looked at Uber. I don't know if you have.
No, Uber I'm watching. Uber got attempted to push towards 72.70s. Are the highs, and then we're pulling back in 72 halves. So yeah, nice little consolidation here. Just holding, I guess, relatively. I guess we were talking about price compression in and around that 72. We're attempting to push some of these prior highs as well. Hasn't really come into 73 just yet. But yeah, look at this market, man. The market is still trading within its 15-minute opening range here. So a little bit of an attempt to push to the upside, wicks to the downside as well. And then, yeah, we're just kind of trading. We talked about that 19 half being potentially interesting, and that didn't really come in as I guess we didn't hold above that is what I mean, and we're trading a little bit lower here going into the end of the week. That 118, Neil, is coming right back in on NVIDIA. Let's take a quick look at some of these large caps here to see what we got in store. Alphabet still relatively strong. Oh boy, that's the only one that's really ticking to the upside as of right now. With the rest of these names, I guess NVIDIA pulling back in to that. Oh, what was that? The prior 3-minute candle went all the way down to 117.60s, Neil.
Yes.
On NVIDIA. And JKL with the super chat. Market cools into the afternoon, reset before FOMC. Yeah, exactly. I think that a lot of times we see that before like a large economic number or some economic number, we might see a little bit of a slowdown before in anticipation, right?
Well, that's like you've now got consecutive inside days. Like for the most part, like you get here's what I mean. Like if you look at NVIDIA, till about 10 or so, you basically were just wicking the bottom and wicking the top. It then eventually made a higher level play. But when you look at the overall futures, like we eventually made the breakout. For the majority, you'd wick the bottoms, you'd wick the top, and you just retrace. Now, eventually, like later on, you carried the top end of the range, but the morning's playing out exactly the same way, where it's like top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, and that's what we get. So what I mean by inside day is, either you might be testing above resistance on the futures, which you have several times. You haven't actually really tested underneath the support at 19.4, but you're just traveling it back and forth. So it's just tossing you around. You can see that with the whipsaw options trade. That's why it's a frustrating morning, because nothing's really had the continuation you want, although I would wager Oracle is the one that's bugging me the most because it just couldn't seem to hold at all. Is what it is.
I mean,
but
day 4 earnings, right?
It is.
We've been running up since earnings.
And maybe the sellers are just winning today. It is, profit takings coming in on a Friday. Like, look at Starbucks. Starbucks was looking like a nice little V-shaped recovery. Let's let it hold up here. We'll go long into 100. Starbucks right back into the bottom. This is kind of what I'm getting at here. So either you're trading something inside of a range. Like right now, the only thing we're left in here is PDD, which is making its bottom, or top, I should say, like its consolidation, but it's about to run the highs. I'm waiting in for it to get pulled back into VWAP, either pulls into VWAP or it breaks out the top. Like that's the simple thing for me. Manuel's saying Moderna's holding VWAP. I thought Moderna could be a continuation play today. That never set up at all for myself. No break of 64 for it to continue lower. No retest of the previous close up at 70. Trading inside of the range. Like it's not even the full range of the afternoon yesterday on Moderna. And this is a stock that got pummeled yesterday. So it's moving a bit, but no significant price action that we can get on even something like a Moderna.
Yeah, so I'm looking for potentially the next trade here. Oracle's clearly not really working for me right now.
Of course, Astis is going up.
Astis is going up. Okay, all right. PDD as well, Neil. PDD is super strong to the upside.
Just put ASTS on that thing.
On a reversion. Let's take a quick look at ASTS, I guess. Right here. Oh boy, yeah, this one super strong to the upside as of right now. So craziness here. What was that name you were talking about? That it was like
Hill.
3 million TIL.
TIL.
Yeah, let's see what that one is up to as well. A bit of a squeezer there, lower float. 3 million float, and yeah, a bit of sideways action. We were talking about how in the pre-market session, potentially shorts from end of day yesterday might be a little underwater. Didn't really follow through as aggressively as we were looking for there, Neil. As it kind of just chops sideways here on the day, TIL 53s. But yeah, a little bit of a low float runner over the past couple of days there. Not doing too much, bit of sideways action there, but could definitely seem like a bit of a short trap coming in this pre-market as we reclaim some of those end of day highs that pushed up into the 60s. And Oscarito saying, look at TGT. Okay, let's have a quick look at Wow. All right. So I guess this is with the Costco move, right? So Costco was pushing up, Walmart as well.
Yep.
Walmart is strong as well. But yeah, Target is the strongest one on the day here. 150 kind of hold off of the open. They're trading at 152 halves as of right now here on Target. So nice call out there, Oscarito, as Target pushes to the upside here on the day. Some of these retail names, man, super strong. Again, with that Costco all-time high potentially incoming, I think that looking at some of these names is definitely a good look there. But yeah, let us know what else you guys are looking at here. C Battle's talking about Nike. I know people in the chat in the morning, they were saying Nike 80, Nike 80. So yeah, Nike has not really traded at 80 just yet, but a strong push off of the open. 78 lows, 79.15 is trading as of right now. Prior day high is breaking as well. Prior day high was 79.06. So we are slowly but steadily pushing up to the upside. So let's see if we get that 80 on Nike today and go for a bit of a run. But before that,
yes, we can.
Sector Watch with Adara.
Interestingly enough, there isn't any one sector that's especially weak today, though there are a few that are a bit more muted. Communications not doing too much this morning, a little bit quieter in the commercial services side of things, and health technology, other than Moderna's second big move down here, not too much happening there as well. But let's talk about all these strong sectors. Retail trade, as just mentioned here with Costco and Walmart, nice moves up. Producer manufacturing, energy minerals actually having a rare up day after a bit of a mixed week here. Consumer services, pretty good. Finance, pretty green here, though some of the major components a bit more quiet. But of course, as always, we do have to talk about some of these tech names as well. It's worth noting here, consumers, durables, and transportation both moving a little bit on this story with Uber and Waymo. Tesla a little bit more muted, also getting a bit of a negative upgrade here from Guggenheim. They raised the price target, but the note a little bearish. Then, of course, Uber bringing up the transportation side of things, but also Google could be benefiting from this as well, given their ownership there of Waymo in the technology services side of things. This sector, some strength in Google and ORCL, but Adobe and Meta a little bit more muted. Electronic technology a bit quieter as well. These Meg 7s not necessarily leading the market today, guys. Interesting look.
Nope.
Yep.
No, they are not. What's leading the market is ARM. And Oh, like that? You know what? So, you know, the graphic that we...
I can't do it as good as...
No, the graphic that we need for ARM is, well, I don't know if you remember Carl Weathers. Okay, so there's this shot. Yeah, well, I'm not talking about Apollo Creed. I'm talking about from Predator.
Sharif and Pat look
remember, so
like
Carl
Creed.
No, in Predator, Carl Weathers and Arnold did this like that, and they both have like the ridiculous gun.
Yeah. I've seen
that's
that
what
scene. I've seen the scene. Yeah,
right.
Iconic
So,
scene. Yeah.
So we need that for ARM. We could get like Sharif, and then I don't know. We need like a rune back or something for us to recreate that. But no, and obviously, like I have no qualm saying it. It's this morning has sucked, and we should have been. What's crazy is we were talking about Obi and I before we came on air. We're talking about ARM. And looking at this in the chip names, and obviously it probably should have been the one, but that's going to be a bit of hindsight. It did set it up, the 50 period, the breakout, all that kind of good stuff. Like it would be a continuation long. I looked over, and whoops, that's not going to be adjusted. So let me zoom in. The other thing was NVIDIA was setting up the same way, but you know what's different? NVIDIA never broke out the top. Like one broke the top, the other one didn't. It's like, let's go dip buying the thing in anticipation of the break, instead of taking the stock that did break out. A lot of times you get wrapped up in what you want to happen instead of what is happening. AMD's under VWAP, like that's not even strong anymore. Like look at AMD, it's like actually tanking. It feels to me like AMD and maybe even NVIDIA are turning into shorts as long as we keep losing this high. But ARM bounces off VWAP once. You know, like I was long 4 times on NVIDIA, 3 times on Oracle. Like the first time a long sets up on ARM, it just goes $1 like instantly because it's a strong stock, and that's the difference. And when you have a strong stock, I do maintain you've got some weakness here. One of those might have been Apple. It tagged 222 and bounced. Hilarious that the one support line that I have, I don't actually go for the long off that level because Apple looks like it's trending to the downside to me. And if it's trending down and the market continues to not break 19.5, I feel like Apple should be shorted when it gets to resistance. But for now, we're looking at longs in ARM. I'm going to double check because I haven't looked back at Oracle.
That hold on NVIDIA is definitely interesting there. Wow, yeah. That Oracle continues to push down. So I did get finally getting stopped out there on the pullback into that 164. I think again looking back at it, we're not holding that 165 to 166 ish area right now. I think we're poised for a little bit of a 162, looking at prior levels there on Oracle there. Again, prior high from Thursday is that 162 level. We did break back below. And that 165 seller, I guess, very, very aggressive. We're holding the moving average. So if there was a moving average here, which I do have on my other screen, the moving average has been holding quite distinctly as well for the long. So I guess I definitely did not play this very well on the day today. But what is the next trade is what I am asking right now. Not the best loss, kind of averaging into it. But again, I'm just going to be looking for the next trade there. ARM was quite nice. ARM is still holding, but TQ's pushing for those highs. So that has me looking over here at the NASDAQ as we pull in to some of those highs here. So
yes.
Potentially. What's happening?
That's it.
That's the one. That's the one. Yes.
Boom. Yeah, that's you. I mean, Sharif could do that. You know what? Like, just give me some roids, a little bit of HGH.
That's right.
And about give me a couple of years too, and then
we can match
handle our
Sharif's
business.
arms.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you have to understand about 80s action stars, it's the same thing with like wrestling. That was like back in the day when like everyone was using steroids and it wasn't like a thing.
Yeah.
So, like everyone was all jacked and ish. I guess people still do it now. It is what it is, man. Like roids are everywhere. But yeah, the market right back up into those highs. I'm annoyed with myself to a certain extent because we should have been at ARM before. But let's try to, we're here now. And as I said, 150 is a big level. And I feel like if we're not really screaming, it's done a lot of work. 150 is its own trade because of what we saw on the daily chart. So, here's 150. The last time was at the 50 period. The thing tanked 30%. And then you go back in and with major support as well. So I feel like 150 is going to be a bit of a roadblock for him. It already has been once. It looks like it could be again. So I think we're going to get some other opportunities on this. If it dips again, look into VWAP. I feel like if it gets to VWAP, you don't want it because it probably run stops. It's been so strong that if it tags VWAP and tries to go underneath, you're going to want to wait for it to make a bit of a bottom. Like you could easily bottom down here instead of just there. That's why I like it over VWAP on a really parabolic stock sometimes instead of tying right into that 146. I don't want this getting back underneath 146 half. And we have a 47 in. I'm thinking about just getting on the offer in front of this 49 in case it tags it. But you're now getting a decent retracement. Tesla's coming back to the upside. Apple's coming back into the upside here. That's about to retest VWAP. The market's at the high of the day, and Tesla and Apple are trying to just hold a VWAP. That's not a very good look for either one of them. If we fail this top for like the 5th time, then those are the two things that are shorts. But I think finally we're in at least the right long here. The other one you could have would be Intel. Intel's looking very strong.
Yeah, another name that's super strong as well is PDD. PDD has almost reverted pretty much the whole move that we had in that pre-market session there. So a little bit of tariff news coming out on PDD there. 98, I guess 90, 97, 83 highs there. Flushes all the way down to 90, 30s off of the open. We hold some of those levels, and look at that trend break coming in right off of the open there. So yeah, look at that right here, bang bang, and yeah, that trend breaks, VWAP claim, and then a push from 92, 93s all the way to 96s as of right now coming in. Let's see if we can revert the whole move. 97, 83 is only about a couple points away from that level right now on PDD. So definitely longs are still there in this market, Neil. Where are they? I guess PDD was definitely one of them. We were talking about Kroger as well. Kroger, KR, a bit of a continuation from yesterday. So yesterday, super, super strong on earnings. If I can push that away. Okay, earnings day one right here. Again, holds the dip off of the open there, closes very strong on the day. We're trading above the close now after a little bit of a pullback into prior days, end-of-day consolidation right here at that 54 halves, trading at 55 halves as of right now. What's up, Adara?
We have a new scale here MSR. Yeah, this is new scale here. MSR is the ticker. This one pushing up to new high of days here, getting a outperform rating here, an $11 price target from CLSA. They do have a 7.9% short float. So SMR moving higher here in a positive analyst note, guys.
Marty. I mean, S-M-A-R-T. That was Homer Simpson. Anyways, but you know what? Good times any. So before I get to this, just want to point out here, the market again wicks the highs. The NASDAQ just keeps on trying. It goes above, and then we wick the top. So jumped over to Apple, which was at VWAP for a bit of a curl. Going to give it right into here, about the 15 to 20s on the other side of 223. So it is a relatively tight stop because the market is very, very tight into some of those highs. But hey, it's a lot of rapid trading in here today. And obviously, some days are going to be better than others. That's why you're always trying to learn the right way. And if you're in Canada, then to me, the right way is our campus program. It's back. If you are in Canada and you have a passion for trading and you want to learn to trade and you want to be a professional trader, and you want to trade for a living or make it as a second income, then this program is for you. It is an all-inclusive free program. And what I mean by that is you get every single step of the way in terms of a trading journey. You get to start with an introduction into the markets. I'm talking about basics. I went through something similar over 20 years ago where you learn basic market structure. It's just a couple of days. I did the same thing when I started out. Then you learn this platform, Pete Pro 8, built for traders, by traders, for traders. All of us trade on this. Myself, Sean, Obi, Sharif Adair, all the traders behind us, Big Patty Ice, Max as well. It's a great program, but you got to learn the platform. Once you get into the simulator, you get one-on-one coaching. You're trading in a very, very realistic setting. You get a few symbols and some goals to be able to hit. Once you complete that, you get a nice certificate. I actually don't know what it looks like, but you get a certificate. Then you get to go live. That's what you care about anyways. Live trading real stocks for real money, still one-on-one coaching. You're talking about 16 hours a week minimum within this program. You still have to hit goals to advance in buying power and in terms of making profits, but at the end of the day, it is free. It is a free structured program. You get risk managers to guide you along the way. There are daily meetings as well that you get to take part with. The boys in the back that risk manage this floor are going to be with you every step of the way. And I think it's a great program. Trading is hard enough, especially on a day like today where it's just chopping us all around here. Trading is hard enough when you're doing it alone. Why not do it the right way? Why not try to start your trading journey from a professional approach? So scan the QR code for this. It's also a description is going to be usually in the video here every single day, or realtrading.com/campus. Fills up pretty quickly. And yes, you do have to be in Canada for this program. We get that question a lot. I wish it was available everywhere, and that could be coming down the line. Like, don't get me wrong. That is something that they're looking forward to. So as I was doing that, there was probably a good re-entry in Apple here at 223. I wanted to see how it responded to that high before I got more shares in. Now I think it is an add underneath 223 even on Apple. Let's go to Money Talks with Adara.
Lots of economic data from this morning to unpack and digest. So to recap here, at 8:30 a.m., getting export and import data here for the month of August. Lower than expected for both these prints. So negative 0.7 versus negative 0.1 expected here for export price index for August on a month-for-month basis. Import negative 0.3 versus negative 0.2 expected. Then we get higher than expected Michigan consumer data for the most part here. So consumer sentiment for September for the preliminary print, 69 versus the estimate here of 68.3. The only print of those Michigan prints that was lower than expected was this one-year inflation expectation print. So coming in at 2.7% versus estimates of 2.8%. So interesting look there. Of course, these numbers are going to be very interesting ahead of the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. 2 p.m. we'll get the rate decision. And then at 2:30 a.m. comments from Fed Chair Powell. So September 18th, definitely a must-see. Also worth noting here, a bit of a double top on the DXY, with it then also falling below previous support just above that 101 level. Let's see what the DXY does from here ahead of a very exciting week of economic news, guys.
Thank you, Adara. So there's no headline, but DJT just made a power move to the upside here. Not really sure what caused it. It was under trouble the last couple of days. I think we all knew that. Like after the debate, you saw the move into the downside, but only 5% up. But it's now back through that lower high from the post-debate. Like that's a biggie. You're back through 16.8. So it could just be like a technical squeeze of sorts here on DJT. I haven't paid for locates today. I feel like there's always a place that it could go to that I'd want to fade. So I'll likely, in the middle of the day, grab some locates on this, see if it settles down and give some kind of a short entry. And again, try not to try to get political, but you know, at the end of the day, like this is what it looks like on a daily chart. So shorting the pops, generally speaking, has been very, very good. So for shorting pops on this, I think I let it get to the next level. Might be that 18. I just want to check back in here with ARM. The market's still making a rough attempt to break the highs. I was trying to get filled in front of 148. 149, check that. It got to 148.5, so now you're getting a bit of a consolidation. I don't know that I like what's happening here. Now you've got a bit of a like double top, not double top, but like a trend top forming that would lead you back into VWAP. So my approach is, hey, if it holds this line, get out. Like if I see it try to run this bit of a trend line that's forming, I could have drawn that a little bit tighter. Like it tries to run the top of this and fails it, then I want to get out and then wait for a re-entry into ARM. So we got the long off 77s. I mean, exactly, sorry, 47. When it broke back up, it kind of held that low. My stop was at 146.5. I haven't changed that yet, but I feel like I'm going to. But if we break out this little trend line here, fail to follow through, I'm just going to jump out of ARM. Just kind of take the win that's out in front of us here. Fairchild says DJT's not going to get back to 18. Well, I only said 18 because here, I'll finish that. Yeah, I mean, in the chat, if you think it's not getting to $18, I simply said 18 because when I look at the significant price levels on the stock, the last time it was up here, it literally had $18 as support. So support turning to resistance, like the most simple concept you can ever use. That's the level that if it gets there, I'm definitely looking short. It doesn't mean I think it's going to 18. I just feel like that's an obvious one. It could be somewhere else, like maybe it finds the top here at 17.5. I don't know. Cross that bridge when it gets there. But I am looking for a fade on this every time it goes up in general sense.
Yeah, so we're looking at that.
Okay, I might not be able to get my tea.
Uber, that 72, definitely we lost that 72. So we're pretty much in a sideways consolidation here on Uber. We did gap up, or we did have a strong bid up there in the pre-market off of some of those, off of that news there, and then sideways chop happening here on Uber. So here, a little bit of a bid coming in finally, potentially here on Oracle as it breaks or attempts to break once more. It's a 8 moving average that it has been holding. So a bit of a potential trend break here. Let's see if we can break back above that 165 there. So it was a bit of a tough, I guess, push. I definitely did do a little bit of a bag hold there on the way down, but potentially some bid coming right back in. But we talked about that 165, and somebody in the chat as well kind of identified that 165 was being held down. Any sort of pop above 165.10s, 165.25s was holding on the ask there, and yeah, that was definitely something to be respected. And we're trading right back above, so 164.60s with the bid coming in aggressively here on Oracle. Let's see if that seller kind of steps right back in into that 165. We continue to the downside, but yeah, earnings day 4 on Oracle, it has been bidding up. These are technically all-time highs, or they were 175s. We almost pushed into 175 right off of the open there, so technically all-time highs on Oracle, pulling back into some of these prior days levels. But prior day high I have at 162.40-ish, 162.30s. So we're still a couple points away from there, and we've been kind of started to slow down. So the selling has definitely dissipated significantly relative to what we had right off of the open there, but the sellers still seem to be in charge, Neil, as that 165 still has not lifted, and we're continuing to kind of chop and churn sideways here. 19.5 hold, so I don't really see too much else here on the board. Again, we talked about everything that I was looking at in off the open. I was looking at Adobe, I was looking at Kroger, I was looking at Meta, Starbucks, Spider as well. Spider, I was looking for that 560. That 560.5 is that month open price. We did trade above it, and we got to 562.5, so 2 points above that. But again, it's a $500 ticker, I guess ETF there, and 2 points. A little bit of a wish-wash of that month open as of right now, going into the close of this week. Oracle, of course, again, we've been very aggressively involved with Oracle, a little bit down on the day due to that, but again, more than willing to kind of put on some risk in a different way there for this move to kind of come into fruition, but still no real sign of a bid. That 165 seller still holding. PDD was also on watch, and PDD, if you guys know, reverted more than 50% of its move back to the upside there. And obviously Uber was one on watch right off of the open due to that news opening up some doors in California for Uber, right? So they're finally going to be, I guess, a little bit of room for expansion there. And obviously DJT, we know, is on watch. I did pull it up after you guys mentioned it. Bit of a pullback off of that 1705 high of day as of right now. Was holding VWAP throughout the morning session there. And as we push into the midday session with only about 1 minute left, Neil, that VWAP pulled acceleration to the upside. So let's see. We're getting a little bit of a sell-off right now. Let's see if the pullback continues to kind of pull back into those opening range highs here. This is a 3 minute. So those range highs being somewhere in and around that 16.5, only about 20 pennies away from there. And that is confluencing with VWAP area as well on DJT. Wasn't really on watch for me, but again, you can see that it's starting to catch a little bit of volume. Definitely catching a lot of bit of a bid, Neil.
So just a quick update, and I think literally the only trade, and when you go long a strong stock, that's what happens. The only trade that went pretty much exactly technically to plan, which I like. That's what I like to see happen. And you've seen me do this like every now and then. Like I'll have an idea and it'll go like structure, give you the bounce. It goes right to the resistance level, and I get the long where I want. I get out at first resistance, and then the trend line breaks. I get out of it, or it just goes right into the high. Like this is the first time it happened since that first breakout on Tesla was ARM, just the strongest stock in, well, maybe not the strongest stock in the market, but it was a strong one. Made a bit of a trend line. I said, if it loses that, I'm just going to jump out of it. And I might have even just gotten wicked out there. I mean, trend line's a loose thing when you throw it in. I feel like if it lost that, we're headed back into a VWAP dip. But for now, it's trying to consolidate and go higher. ARM is like the strongest thing that I'm looking at here. We're still in Apple. It hasn't really broken out that quarter top, and I'm short underneath 23. But it is 11 o'clock.
Oh, boy.
It is time for some midday madness because the market's still trying to break it out. It could do it. You got DJT moving around here, but let's go to Sharif and Adara. Learn to trade, everybody. We're back at 2.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as that Midday Show. That in the green this